Right, so when he come in with the link, I'll add him onto it. If it lets him. If it don't let him, like I said, we just put it on speaker and have him join in.
Yeah,
Let me
Sadq should come in very quick, very soon. I'll send him the link.
okay. Let me start it off now. Honor everyone. Honor to everyone that is already in the chat. Brother Johnny Bands, Aboriginal Gem Finder. Honor to you. Honor to everyone that is watching. Honor to everyone that's joining the chat. I say peace, love, light, and welcome. Welcome to you all. Uh, I know that there's a delay on the notification because I didn't even get the notification yet, right? So I know that they're delaying it, but don't mind that. I say welcome everyone. This is DarkmanX TV. I am an Arawak American in colonial terms, what they call an Arawak American. With that being said, I say peace, love, and light to you all. And we're here with Copperhotstep, Lokonoempire, American Arawaks, and we're waiting for Macadon One and Brother Prince Sadq to join, or if they are freed up, Brother Alex and Sister Malkia from the Yen Kun Kun also as well. But with that, I say welcome, welcome everyone, and fellas, if you want to introduce yourselves, you may go ahead also. Uh, Anyone could start.
Professor, may you start?
Peace to the panel, peace to the chat. My name is Copperhotstep. I've been on YouTube for about a year and a bit now. I'm on Instagram as well. I had an Instagram account last year. It got shut down. I've got a new one now, so I'm on there as well. I'm born and raised in England, but my people, maternal people, they're from Jamaica, always known as Jamaica. My paternal people, they're from where is known as St. Lucia. So, both sets of my ancestry, it's from the Caribbean, from the West Indies. But yeah, once again, peace and love to the panel and peace to the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, big up DarkmanX, big up everyone on the panel, everyone in the chat listeners. Gonna be about big up yourself to the Lokonoempire. Also with ICCC, myself and Copper, we got many heads to the ICCC, yes, I'm born here in the UK. My heritage goes back to the island of Jamaica, Jamaica, corporate name now. And Cuba Khan, I'm an Arawak Indian. Well, like my family are the Windrush generation that came to England in the 1930s, you see it? And yeah, I've been on Instagram for a year. I had a platform for about 2 years now, myself and Copper, and as well as ICCC with the pushing his knowledge about being, the original inhabitants of the Americas. So big up yourself, people. Out of many one people like the Kurt Arms of Jamaica, we're animating and strong, you see it? Why you?
All right. Shout out to the live. DarkmanX, really appreciate the accommodation. This is American Arawaks. Well, when I say Arawaks, it's more than one of us, you know what I mean? So when I say American Arawaks, I'm just the one who making the noise, the squeaky wheel. But it's more than one. That's why I say Arawaks as in many. Yeah, so I'm American Arawaks. I personally go by, they know me as Bomb. Aboriginal community has know me as Bomb. But my alias is Jungle, and I'm saying indigenous name Jungle. I is just here to spread like wildfire. You know what I'm saying? Show what are the missing pieces that we need to elevate ourselves out of this jump off of this ship because it's sinking. As you could see every day, the ship going down. So I just here to enlighten people. And I is associated with the ICCC, DarkmanX. And big up Gambler. Boom.
Yes. Don't forget Gambler and Empress Copper Fox, right? And all the empresses of the ICCC also as well. I say honor to all you brothers and welcome. This was long overdue, and long awaited to have happen. And I hope in the future we can have a lot more of these to come, especially with the empresses also as well, right? Um, it is time for unification. It is time for us to move as one people, as the saying goes. Okay. Uh, this. Okay. Hold on. Someone else is joining in now. Uh, Honor, brother. You want to introduce
Greetings,
yourself?
greetings, my brothers. Greetings, greetings.
Yes, yes. So this is Prince Sadq, everyone.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Man, respect, humble. Make up yourself.
Peace,
Pick up
bro.
yourself,
Peace.
study. We're not seeing him another. Okay, just seem
Yeah,
short.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
seem short.
He's there. He's
Shoot up
there.
there.
So I was saying, brother, if you want to, introduce yourself and give the people a brief bit about your background, you could go ahead.
Well, Prince here, one of the proud indigenous member of the Parati Indian tribe of Tamaka. We have been there for thousands of years, and not no fictitious slave from Africa is there teaching our people. Most Jamaicans are, I would say 90% of Jamaicans are indigenous to the Americas. And a lot of us don't realize that the term Africans that was given to us was just a marketing ploy. Whenever an enslaved one of us were taken from Trinidad, Guyana, or Honduras, when they reached to Jamaica, they were labeled as Africans. So, our people they would sell them for a higher price. With that said, I just want our people to wake up to the fact that we are indigenous and we should not look to another man's land in saying that we are slaves from Africa and we are right here in our backyard. This is our home. And we should not think of going anywhere except there being on our own home.
Exactly.
Yes, brother, continue. I mean, I'll pick up from there later on during the conversation.
Mm-hmm. And so what this panel is to be about is a few things: cultural appropriation, right, or miscultural appropriation of one's history and culture, how to connect the people to the source of to whom they truly are, or how to better open one's eyes and mind to at least look into the information and not be one tracked. Also about how do we correct the miseducation that is going on out there when it comes to the history of the Americas, in the format of how it's being told instead of from the beginning, but they're starting in the middle and continuing on. How do we win over the hearts and minds and the attention of the young ones? How do we encourage the parents to properly educate the children? Because we know that it's education is also being used as a weapon to really de-educate or uneducate the young people into brainwashing them into believing that there's something else when they are not, right? I'll start off with uh, Brother Copperhotstep.
Yeah, sorry, peace. I was just having a problem with my connection. Repeat that again. Was you asking me?
I was saying, how could we correct the way how pretty much how could we correct the way how the children are being educated as to who they are? How could we?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, what I would say about that is, because I know we were just chatting right now before we went live.
Mm-hmm.
I do work with young children. I do work alongside children with mental and behavioral setbacks. So, working around young children, you do begin to see the inner workings of their minds, and you do come to realize they're very impressionable. They're very impressionable young people, in our world, in our care. So what I mean, from personal experience as well, I went through the whole pro-Black and Pan-African thing. I don't mind saying it. I'll tell anybody that asks. I did the whole thing. I've done the whole. Some people were just talking about going over back to Africa. No, I went through 3 occasions before I was even 10 years old. We flew out there, and at the time we didn't know any better. We did this because we genuinely believed in this story, right? That connecting back home and going back to see looking on your foremothers and forefathers. But so what I'm trying to say to people is that what we could do for our children is, if you have to send them to school, then so be it, But I mean, when they're coming home from school, you really got to be putting in that time and work with them to, undo the historical aspects of what they're learning in the schools, because, everything that you will see on any live stream that I do, or DarkmanX does, or BAM, or Chief Inca, it's impossible that this will ever appear in any Western school system that you attend, because they simply can't put it in there, because it's of no benefit to them to teach you any of it, or your children. This is all by design. It's not a coincidence that none of this stuff appears in their curriculums. We know, as a council, having done our own research, that England has a very, very messy connection, colonial connection with the Americas, in particular, the West Indies region, and also the southeast of North America, with the 13 colonies. But they will never teach us any of that here. They don't speak about the 13 colonies. They don't speak on the fact that they went to a large portion of the West Indies, which became known as the British West Indies, a certain collection of islands, such as Jamaica, Dominica, Barbados, and so forth. They don't teach any of that. They don't teach the fact that in the rural parts of where we are now in England, Cornwall and places like that, a lot of their people were being snatched up and taken as slaves for the Corsairs and, the Moors, and taken to be slaves in the slave markets of North Africa. They don't teach any of that. And they're well aware that this happened to their people. So what I'm trying to say to people all the time is, the knowledge starts with you. You have to be the knowledge for your children, because they're not going to get it from the school. When they come home from school, let them relax and unwind. I mean, that's perfectly fine, but you've got to be putting the truth into their heads as well, because if you don't, then these schools are going to become their teachers and essentially their masters. And, this is how it goes downhill for us, is what I would say.
Brother Lokono, your thoughts?
I mean, for me, growing up in London or England, we still, when our people came over here, we bring our culture with us. What am I talking about? Carnival, Junkuno, Bacchanal, crop over and these type of things. Not only that, but we bring, our, when I say culture is, it covers a wide range of things. So our practice like food and cooking and stuff like that. Even though we live here in England, we still practice stuff back home. Certain ingredients and foods that we make, we still do traditional things. We've got nothing to do with the Eastern Hemisphere. I mean, like Carnival, like I'm saying, in Notting Hill, I mean, you see West Indians, either from the islands or born and raised in the UK, they attend these festivals, celebrating their culture, embracing their culture of who they are. They're American Indians, because not only the West Indies have Carnival, you got New Orleans, you got the rest of North America, South America, Central America, and the surrounding islands and the West Indies that all has the same culture as American Indians, because that's their heritage. That's many things like that, really. I mean, when you look at the culture that we have, nobody has that in Africa. If they do, like Nigeria, say, from 2004 they start doing Carnival. But I mean, look how long have we been doing Carnival for in the Americas? Thousands and thousands of years. But that links back to the Mayans, Incas, Aztecs. people of ancient descent that that predates Africa. Our culture, our heritage predates Africa. The things that we do, African people don't do that. This is why when they ask you what you're doing, like, what is that pot for? Or, why do you do this? And they want to know about your culture, who you are as a person, because culture sounds like a person's identity, the traditions, the old traditions, their diets and stuff like that, and the things that they practice, that evolves into culture, that evolves around culture, all these things of identity of American Indian. Go ahead, Darkman.
So let me ask you, what are some of the ways to you then do you think that the parents then can incorporate lessons like this on a daily basis to their children?
Well, they must know their history, basically, explaining the culture. Like, for example, like how if they're from Jamaica or Jamaica, you can explain to them like the music, because West Indians or Jamaicans, they like their reggae and their bashment. You can explain to them how it was formed and how it was created. It didn't come from anywhere else except from that island. Like Mento was calypso. That we practiced. That what sprang forth from birth to from reggae. But I mean, it just looking at a culture and assessing it. Okay, like whether it's the dances and stuff like that, or the singing, the way we, the way it makes us. You have to sit and explain these type of things. That we have our culture, and as well with the research and knowing the history of the Americas, and that makes one pride. You have one pride when you know your history, so nobody can lie to you and take you off your path.
Okay. Brother American Arawak,
Yes, brother.
what are your thoughts? Someone, hold on there, brothers. Someone is echoing. Does anyone else have any other device going? All right, go ahead with that.
Yeah. So my take on the whole thing is that the misconception, the miseducation, over the years has demolished even down to our very morals. Down to our very morals, we have become I want to say watered down from what our ancestors and you know what I'm saying, things that we not supposed to tolerate, we start to tolerate it all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I blame the misconception. You know what I'm saying? I see people in the chat talking about they like to talk about Caribbean people. My thing is, why not focus on your people? You know what I'm saying? Find out where your people come from. Don't worry about us in the Caribbean. We know where our people come from. Don't worry about talking about, well, you think more Africans come here than anywhere else. No, you need to speak for your people. Don't apply to my people or anybody else on here on the panel people. We know our people, so speak for your people. This is why we're here. We're here to speak for our people, our bloodline. We're not here to spread propaganda or none of that. Okay? Well, so things like those I'm talking about, the miseducation. So we really have to guide our children, the young people especially, into, just present information for them to research, because they're the next generation that's going to take this to a next level. You know what I'm saying? We just presenting what is there. And I hope you guys take notes. Like, when we have a presentation or anything, you try to, if you hear anything you never heard before, I suggest you should go ahead and research it and read about it and dig deeper. Because our influence on the whole entire world as American Indians, it's loud and it's clear. It's loud and it's clear. Anything we do, the world follow it. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
We should protect our culture, because our culture is the gold mine. Our culture is feeding mouths across this planet. Not only our mouth, a lot of people across the world is eating from our culture, trying to recreate our culture, trying to imitate our culture. We don't know. We must look into ourselves. You know, I mean, lock ourselves into a corner or a closet and do some inner searching. You know what I'm saying? Because it's more spiritual than how you see it physical out here. So we need to tap into that source which is within us and ask the ancestors to guide us and keep us on the path, because trust me, it's not easy what the gentleman on this panel are trying to do are doing. It is not easy with all the stereotype. You know what I'm saying? We have to deal with all of that ignorance. You know what I'm saying? And because of this ignorance is what caused our people to be in these streets rioting right now, burning down buildings. You know what I'm saying? When they could have simply indict these people, put them on trial and hang them.
Exactly.
Just hang them there. Don't even make them go to life. No, hang them. That's what these people, you hang them, you indict them, you sentence them to death, and you hang them. And you set an example. Okay? This is how it works. This is what you call law of what's it called? The law of when something come back to you, what you give out, it come back to you.
Karma.
Right. This is how it works. You know what I mean? We don't go in the street and burn down the place. I mean, I'm not saying we as island people don't be like that. We rebel as well. Like Haiti, Zamaka. Yeah, when we head hot, we start. But we do it. When we do it, we get results.
Yeah.
We do it, we get results.
Take it straight to the doorstep of the politician.
Yes, when we do it on the islands, we get results. When I see the mainland Indians over here do it, I don't see no results. All I keep hearing is I can't breathe. Hands up, don't shoot. How much hands up, don't shoot, I can't breathe, I'm gonna hear.
Facts.
And no one is accountable. No one is held liable or accountable. No one is hanged. You think for a second that can happen on the islands? You think for a second something like that can happen and that officer or whatever don't face the consequences? You're crazy.
That's true.
You got to be kidding me. So, yeah, that's just my take on the whole thing. I mean, we need to educate ourselves. You know, stop limit our capacity to absorb. You know, be open to take what, as I said, eat the meat and spit the bones out. Be open to knowledge. Don't limit yourself. Don't be one way. Don't be one-minded. Be open. Because these people who have their foot on our necks, they're open. They're open to all type of knowledge and don't limit themselves in a one-dimensional paradigm. You know, we need to get out of our emotions and start get something going. Put these people on notice. What's wrong with just creating your own documents and sending it out to your sheriff, to your Secretary of State, to your Department of State, to all these officials that hold office? It's that simple. Create your own documents, you know, and notice. That's it. You're not something simple. You know, if you want to make it look official, you print it on bond paper. You know what I'm saying? And then you bind it together.
Stick a pin right there, so brother. We're gonna get into that. Yeah. Let's let brother Prince Sadq
go ahead, brother.
His output.
No, I agree with all that you're saying, but just remember the history of the police force. It was created to target us, so I don't see anything change in that regard. I think it is for us now to, as you said, to educate ourselves, our people, and let us approach it from a different level. When we take ourselves away, you know, not all. Listen, the guy who I saw, I mean, who called the police on this guy, right? Now he has an interview out there stating that this wasn't his intent. And I'm saying, if it wasn't his intent, why did he call? Call for just $20. And to see that the guy was out there waiting for the police to arrive means that, you know, he did nothing wrong. In his mind, he was free of all these things. The way they're doing things, I mean, you know, it's on both sides. It's when people are fed up. But some of these things, I believe, is also orchestrated in terms of a lot of people who are pushing this are not the people who are suffering. Because I look at a lot of people coming out of town to lead these protests, and they don't have our faces. So sometimes a lot of these things is they use it as a distraction to accomplish their own agenda. And we always become the sacrificial lamb in all of this.
Now, I'm glad that you said that, right? Because I was watching, for example, the Minnesota governor held a conference today, or it was today, and they came and they said that the people who they were arresting for doing the burning and the looting weren't even from Minnesota.
Wow.
Right now, Brother Prince Sadq mentioned something else too when he's saying that the people I'm down back home, the faces don't even look like, are not even the faces that look like the people I'm from the towns them back home. There's a pattern here. Now, with the guy that called the police on the brother that got killed, right? That got murdered. There's also a pattern there. There's always a history of someone making this phone call. Sometimes it's a lie, sometimes it's the truth. But you gotta. This is where now we also have to understand the mindset of the colonizer or the mindset of someone fighting to keep something because they have something to lose. They will have affiliates, agents that will make these phone calls, knowing that the agents, officers that's on their payroll will come and bring forth the deed. Because that agent knows that they're doing a job, they're not going to feel any sort of way because they got compensated for that job. You do the phone call, and we're going to pick someone. Sometimes they pick someone at the luck of a draw. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes they pick someone who has an occult family member who is in these Shriner Masonic societies, and that's what you call a sacrifice. Now, what is the cause of the sacrifice? It's an energy harvest. Not only is it an energy harvest, it is a genetic harvest, right? The video that you played today, Copperhotstep, was beautiful because a while back I had did a thing on the same thing going on over there, but it was more recent of how the Chinese were using the prisoners for organs. And if the prisoners didn't have it, they will segregate the poor people into a part of town and go into that part of town where the poor people is and take organs from the poor people. This is what they're doing in China. Now, why did I mention that? Because every time there's a sacrifice goes many ways. They're taking the organs from that brother or sister's body. Okay? Not only are they taking the organs, now they're going to take the energy from the people. All right. Meaning you're putting this energy into all this anger. You're directing it into this direction right here, but the direction that you're supposed to direct it in, you're not doing it. But they're harvesting your energy because they need your energy. They need your attention here to push forth their agenda. It is only on your energy can they capitalize to push forth the agenda of what's going on here now today. That is the colonial mindset. That is the corporate mindset of your colonizers. And until we can go into their mindset and cut out the emotion aspect and stop being emotional at times and going into these streets without any results, like American Arawak said, in the islands, we take it straight to the doorstep of the politician, his or herself. Hence, there is results. Here, you don't do that. Here, what you're doing is you're watching these agents come in your community and burning down your stores or the stores in your community, and you're getting the blame for it. You can have 10,000 people come out and said, well, everyone we arrested in Minnesota didn't have anything to do with the community. They're not even from the community. The overall scheme, the mainstream media is still going to spin it as if it is you within the community. You see how it works? Now, what does that do? It demonizes the image of the Negroid male and female, whom is the original American Indians of the Americas. It demonizes you in the eyes of the rest of the world because they're looking at you as unorganized savages, people that cannot get organized because you feed more on emotion than practical thinking instead, right? So it's a lot to it. Now, if we want to get into the aspect, right, or the legalities of the aspects of how to properly go about with these people, then now I could bring it back to you now, brother American Arawak. What are some advice that you would give the people on that grounds?
Yeah, so my take on it when it comes to like notifying these people, which you should have done from the get-go to begin with. Anytime you move anywhere, if you move out of town to another state, anywhere you move to, there's always a county. The sheriff is the head of that county. You must always notify the sheriff of that county about your presence, how you stand, what you stand for, how you identify yourself, the family of the household. Notify, notify, notify. This is a proper way, proper procedure in getting remedy. Okay. If anything should happen, the sheriff was notified, right? So you could hold him accountable. Okay, you could hold him accountable because he was notified. Okay, and always accept their oath of office. Okay, they took an oath of office. You all accept it because when you accept it, what happens is it become binding upon he or she. It become binding because it's like having a contract. So it's like a gift. No, it's like okay, somebody offer you a contract. Um, this is so the contract offer was the sheriff taking the oath, right? You gotta accept it. You gotta accept their oath of office because upon accepting it, you now you become a party to that contract. If you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So always accept their oath of office. Now they're obligated to you. Okay, depending and it's all depending on how you present yourself and what you identify as. If you identify as a subject of that county or a subject of that state, then the state policies will apply to you because it's just the way you identify yourself. It's all about how you notice. It's all about what you say in whatever notice you send. It's how you say it. It's not what you say, but how you say it. You got to know the proper words, the things, what to say, how to say it, and then when you accept the sheriff's oath of office, it's binding upon them based upon how you identify yourself to protect and serve you, because you are in the public when you whenever you notify them. It's like you're saying, "Oh, I'm a part of this community now," but my heritage, my ethnic group, my lineage ties me to the Americas. Hence, the constitutional provision that says Indians not taxed. As long as you're not
You're breaking up, brother. Hold on. You're breaking up a little. Yeah, you're breaking up now. Hold on. Uh, we got the point of where it says, as long as you say Indian, as long as it says Indian not tax, yeah? From there on, your mic was chipping in and out. No one heard anything. You still there, brother? It looked like he got kicked, Is everyone else still there?
Yes, Prince is here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're messing with his thing. Anytime he start going into it, they start messing with his thing, right? But we'll
Okay.
take it also now. Let's take it up back to. We'll wait till he come back in. Yeah, but we're gonna take it back to brother Copperhotstep. Now, historically, yeah,
Yeah.
um, with the Amerindians now in Europe, in the UK, yeah.
Hmm.
Someone is here. Mimi, who's Mimi? Mimi, okay.
Yeah, please. I mean, that's one of my.
That's yours. Oh, it says,
Yeah, I
that's
invited her.
it's not connecting his device. All right. So what I was saying is, historically now, right? Because what the brother is breaking down about the notification, yeah, about notifying the sheriff or notifying not only a sheriff, the Secretary of State, all the heads of division in this corporation. You're supposed to notify them. Okay. Even down to even your post office, the postmaster general. Yeah, let them know that you are here, that you exist. When you do change from underneath that black or that African American identity, yeah, every time one of them use or call you black or African American, even if it's a news broadcaster, you could sue them for defamation, right? Now I say to you, brother Copperhotstep.
I fell off.
Yeah, I know they got you at when you
I know
said,
going on.
notify the sheriff.
I
That's where they got you at.
fell off.
They still messing with your stuff. Yeah, they messing with his stuff. They're messing with his stuff. But up on what our brother was saying, right? We're gonna, when he get his stuff together, it'll become more clear. How do you apply what he was saying to the Amerindians them there in the UK?
To be honest, I'm still trying to navigate the correct procedure with that, because I mean, the main difference that would be like with over here, there's no such thing as what people would say is an American Indian choice of identity, on any paperwork. There's that doesn't exist over here. People would probably be very, very surprised to find that the racial aspect of things is very much more concrete. Yeah, you have your usual different types of white categories, but it's not just white, it's broken down into subcategories. So that would be the main difference with here and in North America, because obviously in North America, it's just white is white and then black is black. But I mean, over here, there are subcategories. So you have white English, you have white non-English, for example, you have black African, you have black Caribbean. So even when we touch on that, how can the two be the same? Because they're literally telling you you're both black, but then they're both telling you you're not the same within that category at the same time. It's not just that, oh, we are black. It's like, it literally, like, people can go and look at it for themselves if they really want to, but you can pull up a PDF of a UK census. You can go and type in UK census PDF and go and look at one and then see where it asks the question of ethnicity. And it will show you that, there's different types of white people, so-called. There's different kinds of so-called Asian people. There's different kinds of so-called black people. So within the black category, they're still showing you that an African and a so-called person of the Caribbean are still not one in the same, because they give you different categories. And they lie to your face, and then they teach you in school that you are the same, via slavery. You are the same via whatever BBC documentary they put on for you to watch. So the brainwashing here is very, very, very strong. And so people identify with this very rigid aspect on race, which is presented over here. Because what I don't think a lot of people realize is that whole spectrum of race was an English ideology. It was the English that first started using the term black in the Americas, even with the so-called Garifuna. I mean, they are the Garifuna, but, the English, it was Chancellor William Young. He was governor of St. Vincent, and he inherited it from his father. And what happened was he wanted to strip the Garifuna of St. Vincent, and he needed a reason to be able to do that. Now, obviously, in his mind, he knows that the Garifuna are the heirs of the land, but he wants the land. So what does he do? He starts questioning their, their authenticity as American Indians. And he was the first one to, stipulate that these are what he referred to as Black Caribs. These people never called themselves Black Caribs. It's not a name that they're familiar with. I mean, it's what they're known as now, but they never once chose to be this. I mean, they never once embraced any type of, identity that came from afar. So he did this systematically. And then obviously with that, they started being called Black Caribs, and then they were exiled from St. Vincent to Belize, to Honduras, to Guatemala, to Nicaragua. And this is how you've got the Garifuna communities over there. But I mean, the concept of blackness is an English invention. So naturally, when our people came over here now, they started calling us the same thing. They're like, oh, you're Black people now that you're here. We never heard that before that. But I mean, it's systematic. We've been here for generations now. So we've internalized, their concepts of race and reality. And so it's very difficult for our people here to break out of that cycle. They take everything at face value only, and they don't go above and beyond that. So it makes it easier for everybody else here who's in control.
Okay. All right. So we have two people trying to join in. All right. That's American Arawak. Just came back in. Me. Who's me? Well, Mimi, your device said that your device is not connected.
Yeah, she's in Jamaica.
In Jamaica.
Oh, mine?
No, Mimi. Well, if anyone has her a number from to WhatsApp or any other one of those voice calling apps, just call her and put her on speakerphone. That's all.
Okay.
On speaker, right? But to Copperhotstep, yeah. What you were saying to how the system is situated out there, they situated that system in a corporate structure purposefully, right? To deter you from identifying with a true nationality. They can they can scream whatever they want in their system till cows grow wings and pigs and cows start flying. It's not what they say. All you do is you push forth your declaration, your documentations, and you notify them. That's it. It doesn't matter what they say. They cannot force you or tell you this is what you are. You notify them that you're here, you're present on the land, because the American Indian are some of the top contributors historically to Britain and the English environment, right? So we were the brick masons that they brought out there to build their homes, their buildings, even to this very day that they have. So we have a lot of strong ties also over there, and they know that. Like you were saying about what they came and they was trying to reclassify the people of St. Vincent, right? The Garafunas and them. Reason being, when you lock them, someone has it on. Someone has another device going. If you can mute the device. The reason being why they did that.
Oh, I think it's BAM. I'm not sure.
It's BAM.
I think the feedback might be from his end.
All right, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna mute it.
Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, I was trying to go through the phone because I don't know something wrong. I don't know if they might try. I don't know how going on with the laptop here, but all of a sudden it's like the internet disconnecting. I don't know, man.
Yeah, they're cutting your feed. But let me so the reason why they have to reclassify you is to put you and fit you underneath their corporate construct. Once they fit you underneath their corporate construct, you're under their jurisdiction fully. Once you identify as an American Indian on that soil, now you're supposed to be underneath all different forms of international protection from their corrupted government. Yeah? So this is why they don't want you to identify as a nationality over there. They want you to identify what they want you to identify as, but natural law, no man can determine who you are.
Right, exactly. But it's funny because ever since I ran into your channel, because it was your channel that I started off with, and it was literally by pure luck. I was following another set of channels before. I had a different ideology 3 years ago and whatnot, but your channel just came up in my recommended section, and I wasn't working that day, so I decided to hit the video. I'll always remember it was the video. It was the truth about Jamaica, and I hit that video and I watched it, and then like really from there, like I never looked back. And so I started subscribing to more people. I started jumping online, talking to more people in your live chat, like Gambler, like Copper Fox and Chad. They were the first ones I really started linking up with, away from, you know, the live chats and whatnot. Then eventually ran into Gambler, then Chief Inca, then Turok, then Tolu and Holbert, then Cape, and then it just really just grew and grew from there. And then now that I know better, then I am trying to actively do better. So for example, if I go to the dentist or go anywhere else and they give me any type of paperwork, then I fill in my own, you know, identity. You know, I don't mark anything that's preset. You know, I always make sure that I put my own statement on there. You know, like just start with the little things that will help, you know, for the bigger things like down the path.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So Brother Lokono, what is your take on it? On as far as also the proper identification of to where you are, and what are some of the achievements, or some of the history that the Amerindian also has over there where you guys are.
I mean, as people should be aware of, I mean, West Indians built up England. You know, they invited us over from the West Indies. You know, places or islands like Jamaica, Grenada, Trinidad, and etc. You know, the Great Antilles and the Lesser Antilles. So you know, we've been here not only that time in the 1930s, prior to that. But I mean, you know, like Darkman was saying, that we have many things that we built up for these people. They rely on our services. I mean, the fact that now that in England, people are very confused, also because of the colonization and brainwashing and indoctrination. Like, as Couple was stating that, you know, regarding the history that we get taught over in England, they don't really teach us anything about the West Indies. You have to look to your family members and your relatives, or if you're lucky to stumble like people like DarkmanX, or you go back home to the island, you get to know the history. I understand. Regarding the identity, I mean, our people don't know law. In the UK, the West Indians don't really know law. They're not really clued up about that. I mean, they'd be getting oppressed by police the same way how you see it in North America, and you know, other around the American point blank period. Our people don't really know law like that, because you know, they're not exposed to it. You know, even though their rights are getting violated time and again. You know, wherever you are in the Americas, you'd be getting violated if you don't know your rights. You know, and you must, you know, study the words of etymology, what words mean. Look up like sources like Black Law Dictionary and study the law. Like, that's what Bam was talking about. We're talking about legalese stuff. We're talking about law and these type of things. Like, we'll all talk about on our platforms. I mean, that's why our people are going through these type of things, you know, this oppression, because, you know, we don't know law. We don't know, we're not willing to seek our history or knowledge of it for the most part. Not everybody, but I'm saying there's people out there, you know, I don't have to say who and where, but, you know, we are aware that people out there don't know anything because they've been listening or been taught via the colonizer and have their foods and opinions and brainwash. And some people are not going to make it. I mean, we should be aware that some people are just ignorant and don't want to know nothing. But I mean, the history part and the identity part, I mean, that starts with home first. That's the foundation, you know. You can't build a house if your foundation's poor, you know. I mean, what I would say, just talk to your family members first and ask them. Like, that's how I found out growing up as a child. I mean, I went to school and they talk about slavery and these things, and I went back home to my great grandparents and I asked them, like, Nan and Granddad, like, I went to school and they were saying about slavery. I said, in Jamaica, we're not a slave, you know? We're not a slave. What do you talk about? If it's a white man can lick me, yeah? He must be mad. He must be bumbuck out mad. No, that never go on, you know. I don't know what y'all talk about. We were never slaves. We defeat the British. You know? And when you talk about slavery, they will pay me. So how can you be slave? You know, why beat me? None of them things go on. We wasn't slave in the West Indies, you know, and she told me, and they told me, my great grandparents, you know, my grandma, my grandfather. You understand? So no, we're black Indians from Jamaica. At that time, I didn't know what extent they meant, because at that time I was thinking of Coolie people, you know, or Hindustan people. You know what they call today are Indians, but they're Asians. They're not even Indians. They're Asians. We are the original Indians. Amerindians is it? But I mean, I didn't know then because I was going through the falling system, innit? So you know how the thing go. You listen to what the white man said and you think this and that. But I mean, I had an open mind. That was separates me from other people. I was always inquisitive, even at school, going through that and teaching about slaves. Like, you know, I don't want to know about white people's history. I want to know about my history. I was very inquisitive. I wanted to know. You know, I had an open mind. I wanted to know stuff that was hidden from me. I mean, my grandma told me that she brought the culture home. We bring our culture over here, which is carnival. But I mean, it only wasn't until a couple of years later that I found DarkmanX, you know, and I linked up with Copper, and Copper explained it. You know, that's how we form ICCC. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, man. That's you said a lot. You said a lot, and I totally can relate to it. You know, I definitely can relate to it because even I at one point had went astray, because when I first started the platform, it was more based on a pro-black type of mentality. For those who have been with this platform from the beginning, with the first platform, you guys already know, right? But I always kept an open mind still, even though I started from a pro-black standpoint, right? But when I started getting back into my ancestry, and I'm like, but I'm an Arawak. So what does the Pan-African have to do with the Arawak, right? And when I started looking back more into history, I'm like, it don't really, that's not me. That's not what I am. And when I started coming across other platforms out there, you know, I came into the knowledge of sticking to the history that my elders still pass down and still say. So when I speak to my grandmother, when I spoke with my grand aunt, when I spoke with my grandfather, and I'm like, why am I listening to these guys then in this community over here, when this is what the history is coming from the mouth of my elders here? And I just started doing the research, and the research started proving my elders more and more right than these folks. And then that's when I just started picking apart the agents within the communities and started pushing and promoting for people to be open-minded and free thinkers, to totally grasp the concept of what's really going on here in front of them. The greatest trick that was ever played on the Amerindian or the Amarukan, the original American, the greatest trick that was ever played on you was to deceive you, for you to believe that you come from another land. Brother Alex, I see you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link you through the WhatsApp, yeah, on the speaker, because it's not connecting your device. What I notice is that when it comes to the brothers and sisters them back home, in certain geographical locations on the island, that they're blocking them from getting through. Okay, but so I'm gonna link you. Give me a few, Brother Alex. I'm gonna link you definitely. But what I implore folks to do is this: be open-minded to information when it comes, and research, and then go back to that community and compare the information, and you're going to see totally where you have been misled. I cannot just come and sit here and tell you, well, this person is an agent. I have to show you that this person was misleading you, maybe unknowingly or maybe knowingly, right? And have to do it with facts, with documentations. Now, I'm pretty sure if a good amount of you go back to your elders is going to tell you, no, you're not from Africa, unless your elder was caught up in the Pan-African teachings and way of mind, right? Then they'll say, well, this is how I was taught by this community, but my mom and dad never said anything about Africa. You'll hear that a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
You hear
It's
that?
true. It's true. Because even my granddad, right, he was a quiet man. It was actually he came first in my maternal line. He left home first and came here. And then what would happen is like you'd get like the men would come over first, so they would get a job here and work up, and they would save up a bit of money, and then they would pay for passage for the rest of the fam to come over. And then my mum and whatnot came over afterwards. But he never really spoke much about his past and what he identified as. And even again, it's funny because earlier on when we was eating lunch, me and my mum and sister, we were talking about this again. And my mum was reiterating, and it really, the penny dropped for her when I put all this on her, and I started questioning her. Like when I started learning one or two things about, I was like, okay, well, Darkman has said this, and this doesn't correspond with all the 27 years or so that, you know, I heard that we was this and we was, something's not right. So I did what, you know, they don't want us to do. Talk to someone that you're actually related to. You know, you're not related to a series of pages in a textbook. That's not your living relatives. You know, a classroom whiteboard is not your relatives, but your mother is. Right? She brought you into this world. So, and then her mother brought her in and so forth. So it would make more sense to get history from them and then trace it back. And then that's what I did. And then she said, yeah, it's interesting now that you're telling me all of this because, you know, my father, you know, her father, my granddad, she said, you know, he would never have accepted being told he was anything else other than a Jamaican. He would have cussed all kind of bad word and say, don't call me that. You know, that's not why I am. You know, right. As far as he was concerned, he was a Jamaican man, and that means he came from there. He didn't come from anywhere else. So I said to her, okay, that's fascinating. So why was that generation, you know, they weren't Pan-Africans. They didn't care about Kemet. Why did they not care about any of that? But here your generation is now, and then mine that came after yours, and all of a sudden we are the biggest we're more Pan-African than the continent of so-called Africa. That makes no sense. And she couldn't answer. She said, but, well, it's obviously because, you know, we got tricked. It must be, because what other reason is there? And then that's really where the penny dropped for her. You know, it's all a lie. It's all fairy tales, all of it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm trying to show the public out there, you know, our people out there, that the biggest trick that has been played on you is to get you to distance you away from this land, from this hemisphere, right? And while you're paying attention to the next man's land, the very same folks who came and colonized you have been taking acres and acres and acres and acres of land away from you, to the point where they're so bold and brazen that they're just doing it right in your face right now. And you're still like, well, I want to go back home, and you're calling this other land your home. And if you're not watching the movements of that other land, how they've unified.
Right.
They've unified, they've organized, and they still don't call you one of them. They still identify you as African American, not Africans. Because if they had identified you as one of them, they would have called you Africans. But because you are an African American, you don't identify with no tribal identity over there. And if you go to them with that DNA test, they're going to ask you, well, point out your great grandmother, point out your cousins here. Which one is your direct cousin from your direct line of this tribe? You can't do it.
No, and then it's always fascinating when people say that they got a tribe from saliva, because, you know, anybody with a healthy functioning brain should know tribes across the world. So in any group of people who are original to a landmass, the tribe is never determined by spit. It's ordained by, you know, ancient custom. So you need to remember that a so-called Yoruba or Igbo or one of the, you know, indigenous Australian tribes, their tribes have been ordained for thousands upon millions of years. So there's no spit that can tell you a tribe. And then it's not enough to say, you know, I'm a Nigerian. They're going to be a Nigerian what? Are you a Yoruba? Are you an Igbo? What are you? Because remember, Nigeria is a new creation. It's not been around that long. Most of these nations you're looking at across the world, they're not nations. You know, these are very recent corporate constructs that are acting as nations. So there is no such thing as, you know, the nation of Ghana and the nation of, but there are tribes that occupied that land. You know, big difference. Where do you fit in within the tribal affairs? And you got to be careful as well, because it's not kumbaya across the whole world. Like, you know, these people, you know, that look like you want to tell you it is. You just, you know, you just jump back there, and everyone's got to link arms and sing "We Are the World," the children. Depending on what tribe you are in certain regions, could depend on life and death on what happens to you. It is a serious thing, and you know, people just take it for a joke, like you're just going to fly out there, and you know, it's going to be like movies when you go and watch the Black Panther or something like that, you know. And it is nothing like that at all. And I mean, I went there like as a child, and there was little children, and the little children would come up to me and ask to take my email address so that they could stay in touch with me when I went to England. And my mom was like, whatever you do not give any of them your contact details at all. So even my mom today was like, you know what, we really need to get off that talk about
and this is real life situation. You went there to see for yourself. You're not just talking off for some out your ass.
No, I went there. I went to,
you know what I mean?
I went to the Gambia in West Africa twice, and I went to Tunisia in North Africa once. And now North Africa is the true Africa, because if you look in the etymology, it says it was everything that was in the north and then was expanded later. So they're literally telling you, you know, the whole continent being Africa again is a new fictional creation. So anything outside of North Africa, as far as I'm concerned, is not Africa. But it's like you can literally go out. I mean, if you feel you're from there, I mean, that's fine, because, you know, we all have to come from somewhere. But you should really go out there and go and see for yourself, you know, if that's where you're convinced you come from. Go and see it, go and breathe it and live it and see for yourself. You know, is what I tell people. But my mom said, you know, we really need to get off that, because, you know, she said we talk the talk, but she said our people don't even want to go back there. And this is the other crazy part about it. We talk about going back there, but in our hearts, in our heart and our spirit and in our essence, we don't actually want to go back there. Let me tell you, most of our people that live over here, they don't take trips over there. And to figure where we are is closer to Africa than Jamaica. Jamaica is nowhere near Africa, but people say that, you know, that's their home. You know, we moved, you know, we was invited, as Chief Inca rightfully said, we was invited to come and, you know, occupy here. So again, we didn't run here. It wasn't a case of, oh, you know, we fled because of corruption or poverty. No, we was given a Queen's invite to come here, to build up over here. The difference with everybody else is everybody else who came afterwards came after we set the way for them to come and live here, is what they don't want to tell you as well. You know, after our people set up foundation here, having physical fights with the police, you know, famous riots that took place over here, it was all our people in those riots that was fighting against the police. You can go and see that for yourself online. And then once we done that and set the way, everyone else was able to come afterwards. This will be your so-called East Indian, your so-called Asian, your so-called African, who came 30 or 40 odd years after us, you know, once that foundation had been set. Do you see what I mean? But, you know, for the most part, our people don't actually want to go over there. You know, it's just all, I can only call it feel good narcotics. It makes them feel good and high, you know, like they're aspiring to something. So it doesn't look like they're completely limp or not doing nothing at all. But at the same time, in all honesty, they don't want to go. They don't want to go.
To brother Prince Sadq, you have the Empress on the line still, or?
Yes, I'm calling her now.
Okay. All right. So brother American Arawak, you want to put your input?
Go ahead and speak. Me a little brief call my wife. Go ahead and speak.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Now, the importance of, let me just address something that Copperhotstep said, right? He said that we were invited over there to build up over there, okay? And I want to point out something to the people. Majority of what you see, empires in the world, were built by the hands of Negro people, right? And you have other entities that come in on the back end and reap the benefits of those empires, right? And when they reap the benefits of those empires, you, the stone and mound builders, you or pushed down back to the bottom of the mound, get down. You can't enjoy what it is that you have built, because we used to say racism, but no, it is strategic. It is a strategic plot of survival instincts by these people. They understand that if they can demeanor you and lower you to a low standard and make you fall for that they can thrive consecutively, no matter what. Now, are their backyards clean? No, they have dirt in their history too, right? Their people oppress them as well. But what does that have to do with us? Has nothing to do with us, because we didn't oppress them. We opened the doors to also give them opportunity to freedom. And again, it was get back down. But
I'm
because
sorry.
we stood.
Sabine is on.
Yeah, she's on.
Yes.
Okay. Give me a few. Yeah, give me a couple seconds, and I'll ask her to introduce herself. All right. But because we, again, so they came in again on top of our hard work, and then it was back to get back down. But because we still stuck with our nationality, we still stuck with our identity of our ancestral identity, that was what was taking the power away from them. That is the reason why they couldn't outright stake claim to something that they know that wasn't theirs. So what did they have to do? They had to get the children, brainwash the children to identify as something else over the years, over and over and over again, right? Alex said that they want us to hate ourselves. The more we believe we are foreigners, the easier it is to bring in foreigners. Now, Alex Minor is a brother from the Yen Kun Kun. He wasn't able to join the panel because of difficulties, but he's in the chat. Okay, so if folks also have questions to ask anything about the history, you could type brother also in the chat. Now we have brother Prince Sadq also, who's very versed. So you have Yen Kun Kun, Arawak, and you have brother Sadq, who's your parity, right, brother?
Yes, I'm from the party tribe.
Okay, so here we go, people. And then the sister that's on the line, we can have the sister introduce herself, the Empress.
Greetings, this is Mimi.
Okay. Honor, Empress, honor. Would you like to put in any input on the importance of proper identification of, and nationality towards the children and to in general out there?
Sorry, can you repeat yourself, sorry?
I was saying that would you want to put your input on the importance of proper identification, ancestral identification? How important is it?
Oh, it's very important. I'm on that every day, and it's a struggle. I'm actually in Jamaica right now. I was born in Toronto, but my mother's from Jamaica. My father is Nigerian. And I know for sure that there's a contrast in terms of, like our histories and the way we identify. And I'm constantly trying to educate people about us, who we are as American Indians, or carrots, and it's nothing but a fight every day. Especially being dark skinned, I'm constantly identified as African, as if Africans are the only ones with dark skin, and not all Africans are dark skinned. So I have 4 children. I do tell them and educate them on a daily basis of who we are, and regardless of what anybody says out there, we are the American Indians.
Exactly.
Very essential. And basically what we talk about, we discuss all the time with friends. I get frustrated because I'm trying to find out where in my lineage, like my mother's side, where that knowledge broke off. And I believe it started with my grandmother, because she told me that they never heard of stories of them coming from Africa until they went to school. Until pretty much she went to school, but her family never talked about that. They always identified as people who was from here, from the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you mentioned it, because even I too didn't start learning about this African paradigm until I started going to school. Otherwise, from that, before that, I knew always Arawak. I'm Arawak. That is it. You know, that's always the lineage. The lineage is always Arawak. We've always been here. We didn't come from anywhere else. The Americas has always been our home, right? And when I started going to school, when I came to the mainland and I started going to school, they started teaching about, oh, you're African American and your ancestors came over as slaves. And I'm like, no, because I've been kicked out of class, history class, plenty of times for challenging the information. Even as a youngster, they even wanted to kick me out of school. My mother had to come up to school damn near every week to the history teacher, right? So it's very important, because you get a fight. You get so much of a fight of people trying to reprogram you and brainwash you to go against your ancestral lineage. And that goes for anyone that has any form of ancestral lineage. If you know your ancestral lineage, you never let anyone tell you to stray away from it, because trust me, they're not straying away from theirs. And if they're straying away from theirs, it's because theirs is not rich as yours is. So when they stray away from theirs, they come to seek to take yours. Hence, this is where you have identity thieves, right? Brother Prince Sadq, you want to?
Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to cut in for even the term black. Like, it was about, I think she's 88, and she said that term black, she never used that word growing up in Jamaica. Those were like, we didn't use that term because there was no need for it. It wasn't until she came to Canada, she went to Canada, that all this stuff really started speaking out. You know, I remember growing up in school in Toronto, we would think that, oh, we're slaves, we're African, and my grandma would cuss the hell out of us for bringing that back to her, you know. So when I look back now, things are making a lot of sense. Really, we always knew who we were, but just style and the fashion and the thing to have to connect to something, because when you're told you're a slave, your people were taken away, and you know, we have to identify, we have to have come from somewhere. We couldn't be from the Americas. So this is a mindset that we're fighting all the time, constantly warring. It's very emotionally draining to the point where you have to love people from afar and just be who I am, my children.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that. We didn't use the word black. We even when I was a child in the islands, we never used that term. We never used the term black. We never used the term African. We never used the term Afro-Caribbean. None of those terms that folks are accustomed to today. Those were terms that we never used because we always knew who we are. Those terms didn't start coming in until more so of the mainstream stage of when they started introducing more, like I said before, mainland entertainment, like Europeanized entertainment from Hollywood. When those things started getting introduced to the islands through the hip hop culture as well, because we know the hip hop culture and the island culture is also pretty much one and the same because of Brother Cool Herc. But when it got corrupted and they started using it as a weapon, and it's why I used to say hip hop is a weapon against the minds of the young and against ancestral lineage, because it teaches you nigga this, nigga that, black power, black this, black, and everything that has nothing to do with your ancestral lineage, your bloodline, your nationality, right? And the world runs on ancestral lineage. It runs on nationality. Anything else outside of any of those concepts, you're identifying as a corporate construct. That means you are a willing slave, right? Our brother Alex put the other main ethnicity in Jamaica is Irish. We actually have solid Irish. Where is his stuff? It just disappeared. I think he said roots. Is that roots?
Yeah, he said culture.
Culture. But See, this is where I believe that goes back to the people of Montserrat. You know, this is where to me, you know, when I'm looking into what I'm looking into, it goes back to the people of Montserrat who speaks the original Irish dialect, the Irish tongue today. Oh, culture. Okay. So yeah, and he said not to mention the fact that so many people say that they are Indian. When you check them, they tell you Indian from here. There you go. See. Go ahead, brother Sadq.
Yes, to add to what you're saying, I mean, even the word Indian, I remember as a kid, when my grandparents would be telling me that I'm a Parati, right? And being that, you know, we went to school there, I used to question my grandmother and say, no, 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 no. We came from Africa, but she did not like the term. For some, you know, she did not like the term, and I dismissed all of these until a little over 10 years ago, when I was doing family research, genealogy, and I said everything stays there, right in Jamaica and among the Paratis. And I felt embarrassed. I said, wow, all these years, because I was such an educated fool, you know, I dismissed what my grandmother was telling us. And now to find out that there is actually a people called the Parati people. And even among I spent some time, as a kid, grew up sometimes in the Maroontown area. Even then, the Maroons did not call themselves Africans. So I'm surprised today, right, that you go back there and Maroons are taught, are being telling you they came from Africa, when they themselves used to say they are Indians, they are Indians, right? They're from the Arawaks. And the way things just flip is so sudden. Even the term that we keep hearing today, this Taino. No Jamaican or parents, ever talk about Taino. It's like something else has been flipped on us. We heard about Arawak and Carib, and that was it.
And even when I was growing up in Toronto, my mother used to always refer to Maroons as Indians all the time. I never thought about it, but when they're saying like in the past 20 years, 25 years, they've been saying, oh, the Maroons speak Ghanaian or whatever languages they speak there, and they come from Ghana. So now when I'm thinking, I'm like, it's like they kind of creeped it up with us, you know what I'm saying, to get our minds changed from my mother's generation to saying Maroon Indian to us saying, oh, we're the real Maroons, we're the real true Africans that know our tribe type of mentality, you know? So they did something, man. They did some inner work there. I don't know if there's some agents, or obviously there's agents, but I don't know if these people
Yes.
But you know what's so funny? The people that they're saying, the tribes that they're saying that we came from, like the Igbos, the Yorubas, the Hausas, the Fulanis, all those tribes, every one of these tribes tell you they came from somewhere else recently. I mean, in maybe a few hundred years ago. All of these tribes, the Fulanis, they came from somewhere in Arabia, the Igbos, Iraq, all of these tribes tell you they came from somewhere else. So if they came from somewhere else and we are telling them that we came from over there, all of these people tell you they came from somewhere else.
That's a fact. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because when you listen to the African tribes and tell the origins of their story, when they go back, because every tribe all over the world has a beginning origin, right? But when they're telling their origin, they're always saying, well, we've migrated here to this part of Africa from so and so, how many hundreds or thousands of years ago. So that's why I say to these ones that go out there to go do this Ancestry.com DNA test, be careful of what it is that you're doing, because when you're telling me that that DNA test says that this is where you come from, and those people are even telling you, well, we didn't originally come from here, then now what do you do to the DNA testing company that lied to you, right? Now, Brother Alex also pointed out that the Maroons who are calling themselves Africans are doing it for financial gain from back home. Okay. And then he puts also, furthermore, how were they taken away from their homes so docile, and when they come here, they turn into a fight force that defeat the British. Okay. I think I missed a part of his comment previously before. Let's scroll back up. Okay. Oh, he's still going. I think he's still typing. Yeah, he's still going. But yeah, so be careful with that DNA, that ancestry DNA test. Okay. And this is why we're telling folks that that test is fake. You depend on your colonizers to test your genetics to tell you if you come from the Americas, then more than listening to your great grandmother and grandfather who's telling you this is where you come from. You trust the science of the colonizer who have more than enough proven that their science was made to corrupt your genetics, your DNA. Their science was made to take you away from the land. Their science was made to make you allergic to your very own environment. You some of y'all should hopefully learned a lot from the Dr. Mikovich series that I've been running as of late. Okay. So yeah. Yeah.
We should invite Sister Fatu on your platform. You know, I mean, she did the study on the aura. You know, I mean, how our mouth, our teeth, everything about us is different compared to, say, blacks from Africa or elsewhere. When you sit in front of a dentist chair, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe 90% of the time they could tell where this black person comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know that they know about us. You know, the funny thing is they know more about us than we know about ourselves.
Because they've studied us. They've been studying us for thousands of years. And we haven't been doing the same thing. While they've been studying us, we've been saying one love, welcome all. But when they're welcoming all, they're still studying our movements, our mentality, down to even our speech pattern they study, right? Because when when one seeks to take over, they must learn and know all aspects of what it is that they're going to take over. Okay. And this is, and I'm glad that you mentioned even about the whole Taino thing before I even get into that, I'll let Copperhotstep put his thoughts in the whole Taino thing and the great identity theft that seems to be going on.
Yeah. So what people need to understand is that the Taino name, I'm actually going to be doing a live stream about this to do with certain words. This word is something that I will be going into more depth about. But I think the important thing that people need to understand is that Taino is a word with its origins within the actual Arawak language. And it was a way to refer to somebody who was deemed good-natured or of a good spirit. Do you see what I mean? Like the way you refer to someone as your brethren or whatever. It was like that. It was never a way to identify somebody as being, well, this means that, you know, that is somebody of that land. It was never ever used in that way. And the thing is, the people that came over, they understood this very well, that it wasn't denoting a bloodline, it was denoting a character of people. But what they've now done is, because we need to remember, they take a lot of our language. Again, I'm going to show this. There are a lot of words that are in the English language and even in the Spanish language, probably even the French language as well. And these words came from yours truly, from us. So it's funny how they want to say that, you know, you're speaking. This is something that I notice a lot of trolls on Instagram and just trolls on YouTube and in general. This is something they would like to say to like people like me, for example, right? So they'll say, okay, well, you know, your patois is a West African pidgin. And obviously I can't take them seriously because it's like, you're saying that's how we speak, right? But it's funny, you're using our words in your language though. So it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make none. But there's no such thing as a bloodline called Taino people. It's always been Arawak. And even then, offshoot of the term Arawak was also Lokono. But it was never Taino. It was never a bloodline of people. So they've taken the word and then they've perverted the meaning of the word to mean a group of people. You need to pay attention as well. The majority of the people that identify as Taino, what do those people look like? I mean, I lived and worked in Spain for 6 to 8 months, and I saw plenty of so-called, what would be considered mestizo people from Latin and Central America, and they look like these same people calling themselves Tainos, to be completely honest with you. So when you see the people identifying as Taino, most of them look like mestizos, or they look like straight up Spaniards that were born, within the Indies for a substantial number of generations. A lot of these people are just Spaniards that came over in like the 17th and 18th century and never went back. And now they're Thai. So they used to be Spaniards, then they became Latinos or Hispanics, and now they've gone from that to Tainos.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, so and then and a lot of those people that are calling themselves Tainos, these are actually what you would call Criollos. The Criollos, if people don't know, I did show it again on a previous live stream, but a Criollo is basically is part of the Spanish caste system. It's somebody of Spanish parentage born in the Indies. That's literally what it means. So a lot of these people, you got to understand, they're calling themselves Mayans and Aztecs, and they're calling themselves Tainos. These are literally just Spaniards of 3 to 4 generations that are now, they're now something that they're not, is the whole point. And it's just the truth. It's not, this is how we want it to be. We just have to tell it how it is, and that is just exactly how it is. There's no such thing as an original Taino. There's only Arawaks, or you might want to break it down, and there's Lucayans, there's Lokonos, but there's no Tainos. Do you see what I mean?
Exactly. So, Brother Lokono, right? I want to ask you, what are the ties between what are some of the ties between the mainland Indians and the island Indians, especially even going back to even like the Gullah Geechee people?
Blood seed. I said that many hurt people's feelings, Oh, yo, you hear me, brother? That's your question. I mean, well, if people don't know, Carolina, Miami, Florida, Louisiana, that was ruled by the Arawaks. That's Arawak territory. That's also under, the West Indies. If you look at the map, it will show you, up to like Mexico and, Honduras, Colombia. This is why we all have carnival. This is why I say what I say, you see me? I mean, we reflect one another. Our brothers and sisters, uncles and aunties, and these type of things, along with South and Central America and surrounding islands. I mean, like if you look at Mardi Gras, for instance, in New Orleans, right? That is carnival that we have in the islands.
Like Junkanoo in the Bahamas, it looks exactly the same.
Yep.
Yeah. I had made comparisons to that, and I was showing folks that same thing. When you look at the celebration in the Bahamas, carnival in the Bahamas, it's damn near pretty much identical to what they're doing in New Orleans. Another thing is they also have West Indian Day Parade also in New Orleans also as well, on top of the Mardi Gras, right?
Okay.
Many different types of parades that they have out there in New Orleans. They have so many. But the origins of them, it still ties also back into similarities with the island culture also as well.
Facts.
Mm-hmm. So, and because I say that to say this, we have blood ties amongst each other, right? So we're not territorial of just one territory. We're saying that I am you and you are me. Your ancestors, my ancestors, we intermixed. At the end of the day, I still stand by what I said before. The way how, to me, American Indians actually really celebrate and hold their powwows is more to like, how you see the West Indian Day Parade is going, how you see, damn it, what they're doing in New Orleans, Mardi Gras, like how they do Mardi Gras in New Orleans, these type of way. The other stuff way that how people are seeing it with the, look, we have rhythm. Anything that we do as American Indians, we always have rhythm. whether it's breakdancing, whether it's any form of hip hop, whether it's any form of rock, because we created rock, all these things. We have rhythm into everything that we do, and we always have to spice it up and add some type of flavor to it. So it is. Look, it is what it is. People can take it how they want to take it, but we can't ignore the obvious of what's in front of us. Even the Gullah Geechee speak patterns of patois, right?
Facts.
So we can't sit here and act like and just ignore that. Now, my question is we know, all right, we know that hold on, let me see something. I think Alex had put something because I don't want to leave Alex out, even though he can't be on the panel because of difficulties. We'll still read out what he's saying in the chat. He said the British also brought 1,200 Arawaks from Suriname in 1675. Also, there you go again. You see what I'm saying? So this is where the mixture also goes in, right? Now we know that. All right, to the American Negro or to the Amerindian worldwide, the system, the structure system of the colonizer, in their documentations, they let it be known loud and clear that it is not for us. That is not our system. We are not supposed to even be in it. But if you decide that you want to play in their political game and don't know how to play in their political game, you will lock yourself under their jurisdiction. Now, to you brothers on the panel, to all of you guys and sisters on the panel, should we continue to volunteer in their political structure system, or should we just completely get out of it and build our own and become back the inheritors of this inheritance?
Build our own.
Anyone can go.
You're asking me, yes, we should build our own things. We don't need them. We have our own resources. We know this is our land. We don't need foreigners. You ask me personally, I mean, foreigners rely on us, to build up their civilizations. We can do our own thing. We don't need them. They're not supposed to be in the Americas, point blank period, because they're, these people are foreigners. They have no rights, no heritage, no bloodline, nothing of the Americas. So we don't need them. We could, like you said, have our own towns that we run, and have our own local communities, and this is our inheritance.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree with you.
Yeah. I would agree with that as well. I would say I think that enough has happened, whether we are marginally or totally aware of the truth of what actually did happen to our people, over this duration of time, or if we are only really more clued up on more recent events over the last half a decade and more. It's still enough visual and physical and spiritual and emotional proof that people would like the world to be like a place of roses and doves, but one thing I'm trying to show people is that the world is just a cold place, and you have to carve your way in it for the best interest and safety of yourself and your people. And that is going to mean, crafting and constructing a new system, which is, for the people, by the people, to put it. Being in other people's constructs has always been very messy for us. We've never got anything out of it unless you sell out, of course. That's the only way you can prematurely and temporarily come up within it. But I mean, if you're looking to just be the natural man, woman, and child, the system is just completely artificial and non-organic, so you can never achieve that within it. So I do believe that now is the time, and we do have to create that new system for the safety, of our women and children, for future generations, so that the proper knowledge of who we are can come back to fruition. Because if you think about it, it's crazy how if we were to get in a time machine and go back 400 years ago, all of us would still know that we are from the Americas. Not one person would hold up their hand wearing a dashiki and say that they're from Kemet. It just wouldn't exist. So how is it that we went from a point where 400 years ago, everybody was singing from the same hymn sheet and knew, well, we are Mama Americas, and then now people are from everywhere else other than where they come from. I mean, for me, this is the proof that, you know, the time is now, really.
Exactly, that's a fact. Brother Prince Sadq, would you like to?
Yeah, I do agree that we should do our own. But I want to make make 2 points. I remember years ago when I was younger, the term Carib, an elder had told me that the term Carib just simply means someone from, you know, from the different islands, meaning if someone came over from Cuba to Jamaica, he would be a Carib. Or if a Jamaican went over to Cuba, he would be a Carib, right? We're all Arawaks, but the term Carib just means, someone who's of our people, but not necessarily from the local area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry about that. Gentlemen on the chat, I have some family matters to take care of. But yes, very interesting topic,
Yeah.
As for Professor Hotstep, you just say people wearing dashikis. I have to laugh because I can't take somebody who wear dashiki serious. A dashiki was made in Holland. So how can you take somebody who wear a dashiki and scream in Kemet serious?
Yeah, that's correct. It was a pale European man from the Netherlands that came up with that, the Angelina print.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that's something I did not know.
Yeah, it's European.
Have you seen the recent pictures? Can't be more than 60 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The of the Sphinx and all these things in Kemet.
Yeah, I saw that on your IG the other day. I was like, damn.
So all these Kemet balls grabbers and all these people like to grab Kemet balls. Suck on that one, huh? How that one look for you all, huh? It's a beautiful picture right there.
But you know what's so crazy? It's to show you how they take us for food and how much they have implanted so many cells within each of our communities to wrongfully educate us. Because look, I didn't know that a dashiki was made in Holland by a Caucasian, right? And how many Sarah I'm sorry, I had to do it. No, oh my God.
You cannot
Light, Sinetta, Reggie, all of them from that community that be rocking that shit. The Black Power.
You cannot take somebody who wear a dashiki serious. Come on now.
Yeah, it literally went from the Netherlands to Africa. It's not African. They got it from the guy from the Netherlands, and then it's primarily manufactured, in China and Taiwan. So there's nothing so-called Black African about it at all. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's like the Brady Bunch of it's Brady Bunch of name brands. You know what I'm saying? The dashiki. It's like the Brady
Right. So
Bunch.
when you see people wearing them at festivals, like so-called Caucasian people, then you understand why now. It's their clothing.
That's it.
It belongs to them. So really, you stole it from them. That's the irony in the whole thing. That's why eventually I just had to come out of that whole thing, because that whole scene is not worth it. Everything you're learning from there is a mockery and a joke to what you actually are and what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Sorry for breaking up the conversation. It's a very funny conversation. But I'm here, Mr. One name Ripro, he posted a question about his seal and put it on documents. He said something about should he put on his documents to the court. And listen, man, court is a bank, okay? First of all, court is a bank. You have to handle court like it's business, okay? They put in they're making a claim. The state of corporation, not Mr. or Mrs. Smith, but the state of, right, is making a claim against your estate. Whatever presentments they send to you, you should either not open the envelope try your best not to open it if you can. But if you do, whatever presentment they send to you, you should make a counterclaim on that presentment. Meaning you should say on that presentment, as the executor of this estate, I will pay you upon proof of claim. That's why you're supposed to really make a counterclaim and say, as the executor of this estate, I will compensate the party or the man or the woman that was harmed upon proof of claim. And if you want to invite me to the court, please send me your bond, because they have to have a bond. So just in case you decide, if you do decide to take the invitation, because it's an invitation, it's not an appearance, it's an invitation, and you have to go there on the invitation. Anybody, if Mr. and Mrs. Smith not there and the state of corporation, so when you ask who's Mr. and Mrs. New Jersey, and Mr. and Mrs. New Jersey doesn't appear, and no one at first and witness of Mr. and Mrs. New Jersey. Now, Mr. and Mrs. New Jersey is obligated to give you that bond because there's no claim, and they waste your time, which is your invitation time. You take your time, come there, somebody make a false claim. Now you want to be compensated. So be sure that before you go anywhere, so in any of these banks, because they're all banks, and you go there to settle a claim, whoever is making the claim should have a bond, just in case it's a false claim, because now you're gonna move on them you're gonna make a what you call I say counter claim. I don't want to say counter claim. Let's make a claim and somebody make a false claim. So how am I gonna get compensated? And they should put up the amount that they're asking. All right, so whatever charges they're charging you for, they should make the amount. So if say the policy is a $10,000 policy, says a misdemeanor, and they're charging your estate that, because they're not charging you as in the man, they're charging the estate. Should ask, okay, is this claimant gonna put up 10,000? So if they can't prove their claim, I can get 10,000. That's how it works, because it's all about business. It's business.
Because understand that every time an officer of the court or an officer steps to you, that officer, if that officer writes you a ticket, that officer is actually suing you. If that officer approaches you, that officer is approaching you under the false premise that there's a complaint that has been made on you by a living, breathing person, right?
Yes.
So when you go to the courts and you see on the documentation it says the state of versus so on and so, those are two corporations. That's not true. Now, to hold that officer responsible, they must show and prove that a living, breathing person has been harmed in any way, shape, or form possible. If they cannot prove that, then that officer has committed fraud. And you can also talk to that officer. Now, my question to you is, right, since we're speaking about the bond, how then could they go about finding these corporate members' bond numbers?
Okay, now if they fail to present their bond or put up a bond, and they say, okay, case dismissed, blah blah blah. Now you're saying, okay, to the administrator, which that's what you call the man in the black robe. He's an administrator. You want to say to the administrator, okay, somebody invite me here. There's no proper claim. I require and I wish to be compensated. For the amount that I was my person was charged for, because that's my property. My person is my property, and somebody making a false claim against my property. Now, if you fail to do so, you have what's called insurance commission. So every state have what's called insurance commission. You could just Google it. Whatever state you're in, look for the insurance commission. Now, the insurance commission is the one who administrate the bonds and keep all the because it depends on what type of officer. Now, if it's a sheriff, if it's a police or a judge, whatever county that judge is in, you could go to that county recording office and require them to present that. You might have to pay like $2 for it, for the copy of their bond, because they have to post their bond. So So you could always ask for that, or you just call insurance commission and you state your claim. And you have a thing called a standard form. I forgot what the name, but they understand there's a standard form. You could Google it for tort claim. You put that in that standard form, and you make a tort claim because that's a tort. I'm saying you make a tort claim, and automatically when you make that claim, that becomes a lien on their insurance policy. No, they have to. No, the insurance is gonna have them either want them to pay a deductible, just like when you're in a car accident and the insurance say you have to pay a deductible. No, that we make the insurance policy go higher. You know what I'm saying? If they can't pay it, then they won't have a job. And if the insurance policy is not enough to cover the damages, then guess what? You could take house, you could take his wife, you could take his children.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, why I played the Trump intro earlier, right? Of him speaking on the law of how to sue these social media platforms or even the mainstream media for a violation of freedom of speech and these things. And he was talking about their security shield. He was talking about that liability shield that they have. He was talking about that indemnity bond that each officer has. Every corporation has an indemnity bond. Every corporation, every business, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, so on and so on and so. Now, brother, is it possible to apply an indemnity bond to the straw man?
The indemnity bond is the straw man. It's already an indemnity bond. It's the indemnifier because you're indemnified. Okay, that social security number, that certificate of life birth, that those documents, those instruments are indemnifiers to indemnify you, the man, the living. Okay, the insurance policy is that social security account. The insurance policy is that driver's license. The insurance policy is that passport. Like, for example, if you go to another country and something happened and you need to see you go to the doctor, you don't have any money, they're going to take your passport because your passport is linked to an account. Okay, and that's what indemnifies you. Okay, so you have to realize that the very driver's license you are using has a policy number on it, which is an insurance policy. It's backed by the insurance commission. The insurance commission are the treasury of that state. They write bonds against that driver's license, and they're selling the bonds. But what the driver's license was supposed to cover your expenses, but what they do, they have you paying insurance again. That's called double dipping. Okay. The policy is already on that driver's license number is the policy number. It's already covered because why? You take a driving test? Yes. When you take the driving test, right? They try. The reason why they take a test is to see how liable you are. Like they're trying to see if you're qualified to be on the road, so you don't be a liability. You know what I'm saying? Because the state presents you with an instrument called a license. That's an insurance policy. They're trying to protect their interest in that insurance policy. So this is why you have a driving whatever a test you do before you get the license, because it's really an insurance policy. It's all about banking. What you to pay out of your pocket because they want to protect their interests. They don't want you to make a claim on that insurance policy. So when they write a ticket against you having a license, well, the license, it's not really you the ticket, it's your license. You now should turn around and submit that ticket to the insurance commissioner and have them forward it to have them to take care of that. But they don't educate you like that. You know what I'm saying? They tell you to get insurance. And even though you have insurance, that insurance that covers your car should cover the tickets. But they're not going to tell you that either. They're going to tell you to pay it off your backpack pocket. So you're paying like 3-4 times over already because you're paying insurance, you're paying for the driver's license, and you're paying for the ticket. So you're paying 3 times over already. You know what I'm saying? Anything you get, any claim they make, whether it's a toll, whatever. Say you go to a toll and they send presentments. That's that driver's license is supposed to cover the policy on that behind that driver's license is supposed to cover all costs because it's your indemnifier. You're the indemnified. So it's not like you gotta go over again and make another bond. Now, if you're getting out of the system and you're not using a license, you now can create a surety bond or an indemnity bond yourself. You just do something like an affidavit and you attach something of value to it, attach a money order to it. And you send that because it's like what you call it, certificate of responsibility. I forgot what you call it, financial responsibility. So all you gotta do is send to the Secretary of State, right, with your affidavit, or a certificate of assurance, saying, well, this money order is what I'm going to use to cover my responsibility, and then you give that. Make sure they have one something like that on the record there. Or you could go and file it in a county record, and that would cover your insurance. You don't need to get their insurance. You don't need to get a driver's license if you're traveling. And furthermore, you could make your own. You could make your own plates, put the car in a trust, notify the Department of Transportation. Make sure there's no previous liens on that VIN number, because it's the VIN number they're gonna go after. If you don't have a driver's license, they're gonna have to go after the VIN number, and they're gonna see who was the previous owner. Now, if you say they don't do anything, they're gonna take the car and put the charges on the previous owner, even though the previous owner didn't register the car. That's how this shit work. That's how these people are scams and thieves. Okay. So you gotta be aware that this is all about banking. It's just a banking war. You gotta learn to be a banker. They didn't teach you. They teach you everything in school, but they didn't teach you to be a banker. You're supposed to be a private banker. As Indians, we're supposed to regulate commerce. Read the Constitution. Indians regulate commerce with Congress. We are supposed to be regulating commerce. That's why we are getting regulated, because we're not regulating commerce. We're supposed to set the standard to regulate commerce with the United States of America Incorporated, because whether it's of America, whether it's United States, it's still a corporation, because the very foundation of the United States is a corporation. The Virginia Company is where the United States derived from. Plymouth Company is where the United States derived from. You could go look this up. It's just a company. It's just in the United States of America, but it's still a company. That's all it is. Okay, so they are bankers. Okay, the Constitution is a banking charter. The Bible is a banking charter. The Articles of Confederation is a banking charter. The Act of 1871, that's the new banking charter that set the path for 1933. Okay, so 1871 is a counterfeit banking charter to the constitutional banking charter. So the Constitution is just a banking charter. It's all about banking, people. That's all it is. Learn how to regulate commerce. Learn to be a banker. Okay, stop being broke. Stop worrying about getting a 9 to 5. Sit your ass down, read, learn banking. You're supposed to regulate commerce. Indians regulate commerce. Okay, that's what. Because we are people of we are distinct people. Regulate commerce with Congress or with the United States of America.
That's a fact.
Okay.
Not joining their political houses. All right.
Exactly.
We don't join their political houses. Right. So that's pretty much what the brother is also breaking down to you guys as well. Like I said, we have a lot of knowledgeable brothers and sisters here on the panel, right? I'm going to ask each and every single one of the brothers and sisters and our Empress on the panel to drop your information if you want within the chat, so that the people can reach out to you if they have any questions. For folks who want to learn how to do their genealogy, folks who are having trouble with their genealogy, you can reach out to Prince Sadq. Copperhotstep and Brother Lokono also have some knowledge in that also as well. If you guys want to share some knowledge on how to do go about for folks to do their genealogy, much appreciated. Starting with you, Copperhotstep.
Okay, so where my genealogy started, I'm actually currently working for it right now. I'm about to do my third batch of genealogical research. But what you need to do is I'm going to put a link in the chat. You need to reach out to, this is specifically for people, if you're trying to do genealogy in Jamaica, what you need to do is you need to actually get in touch with the General Registrar's Department, the GRD. They have various offices all up and down the island. There's more than one. I went to the one in Mo Bay because that's where I was last at. You can go in person or you can do it online. The first time it was last year and I just happened to be there on holiday. So I went in person. I went to their Mo Bay office in person. I filled out the form saying I wanted to do genealogy on my maternal grandfather and trace him back. I said I want to trace him back, the maximum amount of generations, which was six and more. And then from there, what you actually do is you pay for how many hours of genealogical research you want the GRD office to do on your behalf. So then you work that out with them, you leave it with them, and then they go ahead and then they put in work with however many hours you bought from them. So I think the first time it was about 6 hours worth of research. I can't remember how much that is roughly in Jamaican dollars, but that was the first lot of research. And that took me to, I think, my granddad's parents. Yeah, my granddad's parents. And then from there, I had to do a second lot of genealogy, which I've done. And then that took me up to, now what we're saying is my great maternal grandfather. So now I need a third lot of genealogy so that I can actually find out for definite who he was. Because it's very interesting, because I remember you saying before, Darkman, that race was very rarely listed in Jamaica or in the Caribbean in general. And this is something I found as well. His race was listed. He's the only person I traced back so far, as far back as his generation, who actually was registered. And so this is like motivating me even more now to go like beyond and find out who his people were and their people. So I'm just pushing to go back literally as far as I can, with his line of people. But yeah, so for Jamaica, it's the General Registry Department, and I want to drop their link in the chat for you guys.
Okay. Brother Lokono?
Yes, pick up yourself, Darkman. So I did exactly the same thing what Copper stated.
Wait.
Hold on there. Let me do this. I think there's nice coming from. All right, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, man. So I went to Jamaica, same time as Copper. Copper gave me the link when I come back. You went after I did. Cause I didn't know. I'm gonna go to Kingston because there's a National Archive record in Kingston in my Bay. People don't know. Where you can trace your ancestors. The thing what Copper is talking about. The thing that the other brothers and sisters be talking about after I'm finished talking. I got my ancestry up to 1898. And what's funny about that, it didn't say anything about being slaves. It just tells you the duties they were doing, like if they were a seamstress or a carpenter, etc. You see. And they've always been in Jamaica. I've got old stories as well that always did the same thing as growing up hearing that as a child. But to actually to present that to my family, that to my parents, they're like, right, Tata, do some more, man. Me like this. A pass, and
it connects them to a missing piece of their puzzle,
Yeah, man.
And I learned that with my grandmother when I started doing it. And even with my mom, when I started pulling up her father's history, her father's mother, and her father's mother's mother, and that she also had an uncle that passed away at 6 months, and so on and so on. It really opened up a lot of memories, also hidden memories that they had, also for them, right? Brother Prince Sadq,
Yes.
Let me. Yes.
In terms of, I basically what Hotstepper and Lokuno had said is, what I would give is the same advice. But also in terms of when I started doing my research, I was surprised to. I went up all the way to 1812, somewhere early 1800s, and they were all local. But I also found linkage to families who came over from Maryland in 1834. So, and they came as Negroes, but they were also one of the reclassified renaming of the group from Indians to Negroes in 1834. They were sent to Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, man. We just have to go there and be diligent in our search. And I would say most likely, 99%, you will never find any trace to Africa or all those people who are going to search. For me, I was amazed in a lot of stuff that I found. Actually, I was amazed by a lot of stuff that I found, man. And I'm still shocked, to be honest. And when I share it with families and friends, I, it's
Mhm.
it's there's a lot of names I saw in Jamaica which are originally from the region. The name sounds to be English, but when you check it out, they're all local to the region. Back to what we're saying, a friend of mine who did his research also, and his ancestors say they came from, I think, Ireland, right? But
Mhm.
they were also listed as black, Negroes or whatever it is, but they weren't listed as white. But they came from, these were so-called Irish enslaved people. But you'll be surprised. A lot of these people who keep saying that they have whites in them, or whites from English. They would be surprised to realize that a lot of these people that they considered to be white were actually so-called maybe indigenous of the Great Britain.
That is true. That's a fact. That's true. Yeah, and that's what, when you go back, this is why you have to read correct history, because the very first set of people or faces of people that came over here, they were not Caucasian faces, they were other Negroid faces. Okay. And this is the harsh reality of what some of us also have to comprehend, right? So when we're focused on the race standpoint as far as skin complexion, the Caucasian versus the Negro, that's just a distraction, right? Because when you go back over history and thoroughly study history, something put the Caucasian in the place of where it's at right now today. And like any people, if you see something to take advantage of, you're going to take advantage of a slight sign of weakness and use it to your advantage and become the ruling class, which Caucasian folks have done. That's all they did. They saw a crack in the armor, and they took their shot, and it worked for them. And now today, through deceit and a whole lot of treachery, they've held on to that position because they also have other Negroes who side with them, right? This is why when I was watching the interview today with the Minnesota governor and the Minneapolis mayor, they put all the Negro faces up on that podium to speak. And even though they were addressing what was going on in Minneapolis, no one addressed the hypocrisy or the fallacies behind the social distancing and that mask wearing or the whole coronavirus incident, period. So it's like they don't move without you. They don't move without you. They don't move without you or any form of Negro, depending on anywhere in the world that they are from. And this is what a lot of folks also have to wake up to and understand also as well. American Arawak, I know you got something to say. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I was about to say when it comes to like first Europeans coming to the Caribbean and all that stuff, you guys should check out the Jacobite Rebellion and Cromwell Wars. Okay, Oliver Cromwell was the one who was exiling the original Irish, the original British, and the Scots over here. Okay, over this side. So look up Oliver Cromwell. Okay, that's your ace card right there. Okay, Oliver Cromwell was the one who was fighting against King James. Okay, all right. So the Scots, the Stuarts. All right, Stuart, House of Stuart. That's King James. Same King James Bible you're reading today. House of Stuart.
Wow.
And it's a revised version of the Great Bible. Okay, and the Great Bible came from the there was another Bible before it, but then from before that, higher up, it comes from the Septuagint. The Septuagint. The Geneva Bible, then the Septuagint. Because the Septuagint is older than the Geneva, and then the Septuagint came from the Hebrew text, and they translated it into Greek. So a lot of what you're reading in the Bible, it's universal law, okay? But it's just the translation got it all twisted up. You know what I'm saying? So, and the Bible is actually a genealogy book as well. When you talk the 12 tribes of Israel, it's actually the genealogy of the Israelites. Okay, the Jacobites is what you call the Israelites. All right, the Jacobites. I think they're Israelites. I don't know. I'm not sure if there was a faction of Israelites over here and a faction of Israelites over there. That I'm not sure of, because this shit deep. This shit deep. This shit is deep. It's not a surface thing. Okay. But yeah, when it comes to genealogy, you guys from especially Zamaka, the registrar department has what's called the Access to Information Act. You could go look it up. I shared the information with Darkman and I think with Lokono and Professor Hotstep already, and Prince Sadq. What you should do is print that form out, and they have the application to correct the record. Okay, so you don't have to do nothing all crazy. Okay, you don't have to go all crazy. All right, just make the correction, and you want to mail it to Twickenham Park in St. Catherine. Because St. Catherine is where they keep all the records, okay? Spanish Town, especially the archives in Spanish Town. That's where they keep all the records. They got all the records there. They know that tell you how many people came to the island during that time, the ethnic group, what year they came, all of that, okay? Brother Alex, right? He's a very cultural brother. He knows a lot about the culture, the herbs, and he's he's like what you call a herbal doctor, so to speak.
He's a herbalist.
Yeah, he can assist you in certain ailments. If you have certain ailments, like depending on your ailment, he have products that can help you. Okay, you should contact him. Okay, and he knows quite a lot about the island, especially where he's from. He could tell you a lot of what's going on. His elders, okay, they are the ones who fight with the British as well, so they can tell you the real truth. I mean, a lot of the Maroons, we call Maroons, they sold out. Okay, so this is what put us in the predicament where we in now, right? The others know the truth and they are being suppressed.
Yes.
All right. So go ahead, Sadq. You want to say something?
No, I mean, I'm supporting what you're saying. A lot of the history now is being forced and suppressed on people. Even a lot of the Maroons now have been taught to give other history than what they grew up with. So, it's a brainwash education. So that's what's going on over there now.
The song says they brainwash our education, want to take us for fools, right? And that's that Beanie Man song, right?
I'm sorry. I'm too in terms of the people who fought the British, right? They're part of the people, one of the main people. They will not tell you that in history books. But the people, and remember, they came to the island through the Black River region, right? And all that region, that's where the Party tribal people inhabit. And they were the ones who took to the mountains and became Maroon, along with the few foreigners, which are, the so-called Ashanti people who live in the mountain. But majority of the people in the hills today can trace their ancestry back to the lowlands of the Party people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what he's saying is true, you know, because to be completely honest with people, right? a real life so-called African, I mean, where we live in London. It's one of the most multicultural cities in Europe, in the world. So you're gonna meet a so-called African every 60 seconds on average. I mean, ask them what an Arawak is or a Maroon. Most of them only found out about the Maroons like a few years ago, and they'll say it now, like, oh yeah, but remember, you know, the Maroons, they come from us. And it's like, fam, you only found out about them 5 minutes ago. I'm telling you, like, back in the 90s, back in the early 2000s, when I was growing up, they didn't know about none of this. This is all new to them. So this is what I'm trying to say to people. It doesn't correlate. And like, people will tell you all types of weird stuff. Like, you tell your people to go and trace their records. They're going to tell you, oh, but the record sank at the bottom of the ocean. I'm like, brethren, I never had to put on no scuba gear to go and see my records. I can literally go online and see them right now. What are you talking about, fam? But this is what I mean. They tell us all this silly stuff, right? It's just to make us cop out of looking into our past properly. Like, tell most people, just go and trace your people back. They'll be like, oh, but, you know, they threw the slaves and the records over the side of the ship. I'm like, fam, would you dare to see that? If you weren't there, how do you know that's what happened? I'm like, you can literally just go back home, and you don't even have to go there physically. You can literally go online and just talk to them and say, I want genealogy on my granddad. Boom. In a few months, they'll give it back to you. Like I said, they just tell us all these things like a joke. So then we just become lazy and content, and we don't go and look into it. But another thing that I think a lot of people, you know, from whichever of the islands they may come from, need to know is the King Philip's War. I know there's a lot of people from the West Indies don't know about this.
Not to cut you, I was just gonna ask to touch on that. You know, go ahead.
Yeah. So the King Philip's War. What a lot of you guys need to understand is that tens of thousands of southeastern tribal people, we're talking Cherokees, Yamasees, Pequots, were sent all over the Natchez. They pretty much emptied all of the Natchez into Haiti. They sent loads of Wampanoags to Bermuda, and they have powwows in Bermuda. They still know that there was Wampanoag sent there. They got powwows in Bermuda that happen every year. So it's very funny to me that, you know, they say that the Caribbean and Brazil is the most African part of the Americas. I'm like, African where, fam? What do you even mean? What are you talking about? No way, man. No way. Anyone that says that is begging it. Trust me, it's not real, fam.
Copper. You know, I say, listen, over here, actually stated there's bare Africans, isn't it? So we know what, like the one that's in tune and, you know, inquisitive. You'll go ask Africans, like, yeah, brother, I'm hearing about slavery. Like, which one of your people was slaves, innit? Or your family or your tribe? They're telling you, my brother, we was never tribes. We was never slaves. What are you talking about, my friend? My family was never slaves. That is your story. That's my friend.
Yeah. What people need to realize is that they only hear this story when they go to the West. And when I'm talking about the West, I mean specifically North America and England. Anywhere else, you know, they're not hearing it. You have to remember that they grow up within that same education, and they assimilate to it. But I'm telling people, listen, if they don't assimilate into these people's culture, right? Caucasians, they don't hear of the story. They don't speak about it amongst their households. They don't speak about it in their church communities. They don't. The only reason they know about it is because they're here and they're interacting with, you know, fake Caucasian media and history. If it wasn't for that, they would not know your Kunta story at all. They don't. And even when they learn about it, they still don't talk about it. They learn about it and forget about it, because they'll even tell you, oh, well, that's your story, not mine. So this is where you can tell who's who and what's what, because you ask them, like Lokono just said, if you really want to know and get a proper number of how many of these people were stolen from the West Coast, remember, a coastal region, and taken predominantly to the Caribbean is what they say, just go to one, pull one aside and ask them, who is your Kunta, which is also my Kunta. If 5, 10, 100, 200 of them say, I don't know what you're talking about, then there's something wrong with the story.
That's a fact. because a lot of the Africans them now that know any has any inkling about our story, they were learning it from Pan Africans that went there and told them some backward shit.
Yep.
Right. And this is how, and because the profit or the business of the whole pro-black ideology is very profitable, and some Africans realize that they will help push the narrative of the pro-black agenda because they are getting financial backing from that.
Yo, do you know how long Chief has been saying this? He's been saying it for about a year and a half now, man. I mean, we've all been saying it. We're just like, look, it's not even about just being hostile and disliking people for no reason. But the thing is, right, we'll just tell you the truth how it is, and we live shoulder to shoulder with all these different people in a more close proximity in an environment like London. So we could just tell you straight, listen. People just, pick and cherry pick and mix and match whatever story suits them and whatever they listen. London's all about hustling. England loves money. That is their thing. They love money. Anything that can sell, there's no lows they won't sink to. There is no lie that's too big for them if there's money involved. You need to realize that, man. There's literally no lie that is too big for them that these people will not push from.
To show you how big it is, I was watching because I'm keeping now my attention on what's going on over there now, because whatever happens over there is going to affect what happens over here.
Right.
And one of the political leaders over there said, hey, the Pan-African community, alone, just in one country of Africa, I don't remember if it's Tanzania or Kenya, right? But the Pan-African community alone has already contributed $300 million just to one country alone.
I can believe it, though. I can believe it. The reason why I can believe it is because I see how it is, man. You try and tell people over here, what the deal is. This is who we really are. This is our identity and whatnot. But they're very stuck in their ways. They're very comfortable with the education they've received, and as far as they're concerned, they've gone to school, they watched 12 Years a Slave, and you ain't telling them nothing different because they know everything because they went to school over here, and this is the upper echelon of education on the world stage. So they're not trying to hear your truth at all. But meanwhile, they don't know that everyone else knows the truth. Even in a place like England, everyone here knows the truth quietly, and they just make sure that they don't say it too loud where you can hear. But when you put these people on the spot and you start asking them serious questions, they'll admit to you that, well, yeah, clearly you're not, both the same people. But I remember I worked in one school, it was the first school I worked at, and they had a child, right? I wasn't working in his class. I just heard it through, staff room talk. And I don't know if this child was West Indian or African, but this child was year 5. So that's the equivalent of a 9 or 10-year-old. So they did something to do with a slavery workshop, supposed to be for Black History Month. And the boy challenged them, and he was like, he got to the front of the class and he looked the teacher in the eye and said, "Sir, why are you even calling us black for? We're not even black. I mean, look at you, you're not even white." And the teacher couldn't say anything to him. So the teachers in the staff room came to the conclusion and said, well, technically he's not wrong though, because, there is no such thing as black and white people. I will never forget that day, ever. Never forget it. So this is what I'm trying to tell people. You think that because, in your stupidity and your naivety, everyone else is as stupid and naive as you, and they're not.
Facts.
That's a fact.
Joe Biden just tell you you're not black. What more information on that? I mean, we keep asking, what more you all want? What more you want? What more evidence you want to? I mean, hey, if you want more evidence, I can bring more evidence. But what more you want, really?
American Arawak, run the chat for a few there, man. I'll go outside and get the kiddies,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So wait, come again. Where's Prince Sadq?
Princess Mimi, I think she was saying something.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Yeah, I just wanted to say something about. I wanted to bring up something that I don't see people really talking about is in terms of genealogy. A lot of people depend on Ancestry.com, for example, like the former British colonial dependencies. A lot of these records are classifying indigenous people of the Americas, Jamaica in particular, as Africans. So it would be really great to have like a former team to research and dig further into this, because when we ask questions in the genealogy groups on Facebook to the admins about why is it that if somebody finds their ancestor labeled as African, why they're not giving more a specific region and tribe, and then their excuse is, oh well, the slave masters never recorded the location, they didn't really care, so they just dubbed everybody as Africans, which I think is an excuse just to cover up the fact that these are actually American Indians that were just brought from one place to the other, or they were just born on the island and they want to reclassify them. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. I'll probably agree as well. I'll probably say that for the most part, it was.
The car is going by. Hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah, did you hear me what I said?
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, you were saying about genealogy, right? Looking into the records.
Yes, go ahead, Jean. Mimi.
Yeah, so I was just saying that, what do you guys think about that, about the former British records on Ancestry saying that a lot of the, like in the late 1700s and going back, they'll classify people as Africans. I've seen them even doing it to people in Barbados, Guyana, because I thought it was only to Jamaica. But a lot of people who are learning about their genealogy are using these records as justification to say, yes, you see, we're from Africa. It says my fifth grandmother or my fourth grandfather is African, but it's not saying exactly where from Africa. So I'm thinking that these records are being either tampered with, or something happened as to why they're not showing on there, for example, Arawak, or like, people that came from the mainland or South or Central America.
Yes, I mean, I agree with you. During that time, I seen those records, but the funny thing is, that record they're talking, that they're saying, they have not printed. The British were not in Africa during that time, so I find it strange that the British would have these labels as Africans, and they were not there.
Mark, I heard that part though. That's true. What we got to realize is this. Brother Mike Premier put that the Mormons stole a lot of our records, which is true. The Mormons are sitting on thousands of our records that we definitely supposed to get back from them. But yes, at the time that Brother Prince Sadq is talking about, the British were not in Africa. So if you're finding records talking about this and that going on in Africa when historically it's not so, that means they're altering the documentations, especially on the digital record. They're altering the digital records also now more so than ever, because you're waking up. They didn't expect you to wake up at this pace of how you're waking up, right? And I've even heard pro-Black folks from the pro-Black community say that this community will never go anywhere, that just like how it started in the 60s, it will die out very soon. Well, I've been on here going 6 years strong and it's still going. So it ain't dying out no time soon, because you know what? There's a paradigm shift and there's a spark to this flame, and this flame is lit. So the only thing it's going to do is get bigger and bigger and bigger. And because these people are seeing that, don't think they're not watching this community. They're watching it. They're watching every single move, every step we take. They are very much so watching it from the pro-Black community, from the political community. These folks are watching us in everything that we do now, because why? We're not sticking to the regular agenda that they always stick to, their corporate or political agenda. From that aspect, we're sticking to our ancestral lineage, and we're not budging from it. It has nothing to do with their corporate concept of what they want to be done, what they put out there. None of that stuff is how we know our ancestral lineage is to be. And they are afraid of that, because we are not saying, hey, we want to come in contract with you through this political thing. We're saying, hey, you tricked the educational system, and you're tricking our children, and this is who we are. This is the grounds that we stand on. We're not budging from it. We are the original people of this hemisphere. And what you're putting out there is a bunch of fallacies. Now, we're not sitting at the table with them saying, hey, let's work out this deal where you, the colonizer, will grant me this portion of land. No, we're letting them know that this is all of the Americas, is all Indian country. It's all Indian land. There is no such thing as this piece is Britain, this piece is Germany's. Is German is for Germany, or so on and so on, or this is Spain's or Portugal's. This whole thing is Indian country. This whole thing, from the islands of the Americas, from north to south, Central America, is Indian country. And anywhere we go from point A to point B in Indian country, we are supposed to travel unmolested with no trespass upon us, right? And because we're sticking to these things, to this narrative, it scares them. So they're going to try to alter all of these records. Now, to also the mainland brothers, if you're going to research the family name, I also advise you to take the links that's put into the chat and research those family names also back into the islands, right? The links that takes you to the archival records back into the islands, or the sources to get to those records, research them. Because when you research a lot of your clan names and family names, it links back to the West Indies.
Yes.
All right. So that's another way of going about doing your genealogy. All right. If you've hit a roadblock here, try somewhere else. Okay.
I'm going to add to the reclassification. When I was doing my genealogy, also Mimi, she shared ancestry back to my region also. They listed one of my ancestors, right, as a slave. So we challenged them. I said, how is that possible? I said, do you know where you said my grandfather came from? Is swamplands only inhabited by crocodiles, brother? When you go there, when you go to Jamaica, if we are there, I'll take you there. There's no way in hell someone could really live there and function as a slave, because you have to go through crocodiles to get to where they are. And you're gonna, and you know, it's way out into the swamps. And I'm like, my families are like, wow, this one is impossible. They made a mistake. And I'm there laughing, looking at my family, saying they made a mistake. I said, obviously, it was written there, because where they're from, there's no history about slavery in that region, because the British left them alone. You understand? Because it's all swamp, it was of no use to them. So to see that slave instilled on that paper, we were like, okay, now something shady is going on here. So that's what's going on. The reclassification.
Yeah, and that's why they finally say the excuse like, oh, we don't have any records because it wasn't required for them to have any, which is bullshit, because we know these people love to show every little thing off, you know, so. And
This is why
taking of Africa wasn't until the late 1800s, so I don't understand how it is that you colonize a lot of these tribes of today. A lot of them were actually taken over in the early 1900s. I started paying attention to the timelines as well. It didn't make any sense. So who are these people that they're bringing into the island in the 1700s? Obviously, they're people from other regions of the Americas, north, south, central, and other islands, you know? But even Europe too, like Scotland and Ireland are the British Isles as well. So that's a hidden history that nobody talks about. And if you do try to talk about it, they just get arrogant with you, try to get ignorant. So I don't even bother anymore.
That's true.
This is why a census is dangerous. This is why I tell you, any Indian telling you to go take a census, run. Okay? You run far away from that. You stay far away from a census. That's what a census was designed for. Okay? It was designed to kill you and kill you on paper. Wipe you out of history. Okay?
Paper genocide.
Yeah.
Yes. Census in itself means tax. Okay? Census in itself means tax. Okay? Why would you want to be on a tax? Why would you want to be taxed? Why? What? Who want to pay tax to a colonizer? Why would you be a part? Why would you want to what you know? Why would you want to contribute to your colonizer? And the same colonizer is going to make DNA labs, right? And you're going to go spitting at you for your colonizer to tell you who you are and where you're from. And when you look in that lab, none of them look like you. Nobody in that lab looks like you. So how the hell you going to listen to somebody who despise you? Right? They despise you.
Even
And you're going to take their word for it by spitting in at you? You got to be kidding me. I'm wearing a goddamn dashiki. Get the fuck out of here.
oh my, and the Sheikah was made in Holland. But no, to be serious though, when you're doing the census, even if you put American Indian on the census, yeah, you're participating in their now still a part of their digital tracing program. Okay, because if they mail you a census document to this domicile in this geographical location, and you say, yes, okay, well, these are the names of the household, so and so and so. Yes, all these names are all American Indians. Now they have you in a geographical location where they can pinpoint you at. They know where you are, and now they know now when they're going to spread like the whole COVID-19 propaganda bullshit. Well, hey, we have a lot of Indians off the reservation in this geographical location here, but guess what? We still have them in our system as African Americans, right? So we're going to say, well, the African American community is the most highest hit of COVID-19. So they're the ones that mostly have to come down to our testing sites. We're going to have to start going to their homes and testing them and their children. For those of y'all who love that census, but someone put in the chat that when American Arawaks was talking that what he was saying about the census is not true. It is genocide. This is how they knew how to pinpoint you to spread a disease or to start some form of propaganda shit in your community to where you were. This is why my peoples, not even my mother still to this very day says stay the hell away from them. Because we got that in the islands, because my mother was one of those that was participating in all that political bullshit back home. So she knows.
And also too, for the island of Zamaka, they're trying to bring forth a census for next year, okay? I advise you, if you have anybody on the island, to tell them to be aware of that census. I was telling my mom, like, I was telling my mom when I just heard of it, that if she gonna put her name on it, to put Arawak. But now I'm thinking like, what the fuck? Why I want to be on a census? I tell my mom stay away from that shit. You know what I'm saying? So stay the hell away from a census, man.
Go ahead, Empress. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Hello?
Is she still there? Yeah, say what you were saying.
Me? No, I was just agreeing with you. What you were saying.
Okay. All right, so we're getting to that time now. We're about to close it out, but before we go, if everyone wants to say their closing statement, go ahead. We start again with you, brother Copperhotstep.
Yeah, man. Just to say peace and to say gratitude to Darkman for getting the first panel together. Peace to everybody on the panel. Peace to the live chat, and peace to the squad, man. Shout out to the ICCC, man, all day, man.
Mm-hmm. Brother Lokono.
DarkmanX. Can I drop some links?
Yeah. I advise all of you to drop. If you have any links to put in the chat, drop as much links as you want in the chat. The more the merrier for the people, you know. Honor, brother, born free, Mike, Mr. Mike Premier, Rise, Core Pivery, honor, brother G Major, Haya Haru Aman Ray El Bay, honor to you, honor to everyone that is in the chat. I thank you all for being here, and I say welcome everyone.
Thank you.
Can you see it? Come screen sharing.
Oh wait, let me click the stuff and do the screen share.
Yeah, man.
Right. Okay, there it is.
Whence the Black Irish of Jamaica, when they came, they were exiled to the islands of the the Antilles. So whence the Black Irish of Jamaica by Joseph J. Williams. The publication date is 1932, and I've got this one also regarding the Arawak tribe of Florida. We don't just say these things. We do the thing, isn't it? Also Indian tribe.
Hold on, you click another one. You have another one coming up. Hold on, click on it. All right, it should be there. Let me. Yeah, all right, there it goes. It's coming up now.
This one. So we've got basically more stuff about the Arawaks. Don't click off it, Darkman. That's the same one, so it's Tamaka. And it's a form of Arawaks that was in Florida. So it tells you. Watch out for the red flags though. Is it? Little information. But yeah, that's it, man. I hope you had a great enjoyed this session. With Darkman and ICCC. Is it? And Ras, me. Is it answer? Big up yourself, Darkman, for having us on, man. Big up ICCC.
Yeah, man, no problem, brother. Honor. Brother Prince, Sadq.
Yeah. Thanks, man, for having me here, man. We all, I'm learning a lot from you also. I have been on your platform since the first one, but I must admit, this one I am happy to share. The others I used to share it with others before, but because of your strong presence before, brother,
Yeah.
other people couldn't take it. So no, I like it. So I get to share your stuff now a lot in a much more easier way. So I thanks for that, and thanks for having me on also. And we all build each other, so the other people can benefit. And it's growing, brother. It's growing. I heard the same. This will die, but guess what, man? I remember. The first time I went out to give some lectures here, right? Young people were the ones who rejected me, but every single older Jamaican agreed with me. Everyone, and that's not an understatement. Everyone said yes. My mom and my grandparents used to tell us that we were Indian and all these things, and we heard about I was from Africa since they came to this country. So that gave me a drive to continue doing this. And and every day, man, it's been confirmed. And you and our brother Arawak, and Mimi, just encourage me more, in doing what we should be doing. And I thank you a lot. So you'll hear much about me more. And even Mimi and I, we're supposed to build our platform from years ago. And I guess thanks for Arawak for pulling me out into the public now, so we can all build together.
Yeah, man, build it. The more the merrier. The more platforms there are out there, the better it is. You see what I'm saying?
Build it, brother.
Yeah, build it.
We push it too, and that push it too. So and I just push it too. So no feel no way.
Empress.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me on this platform. Thank you, Prince, as well, and thank you, brothers, Empress, for having me. I wish I planned more about it, but it was kind of short notice. But I would love to do it again in the future. And another thing I wanted to say is for North American brothers and sisters, please stop the infighting. And we from the Caribbean as well, we are family as well. Our history has been destroyed as well, and we're bringing it back, and it hurts, honestly, when we're being told that, oh, the Jamaicans and Haitians and whatever are from Africa, so you look like us, but we're not the same people, you know what I'm saying? So big up to everybody, and it's encouraging the unification and build up on the knowledge and truth. In terms of the history and who we are today, and we stand by it. I stand by it. So, yeah, man. Thank you for keeping our ancestral truth alive, and they're rebirth to us every day.
No problem, Chris. No problem.
And she was the one, I mean, over a year ago, maybe about 2 years ago, called and said, "Oh, Prince, you need to check this out, guy. This video out, man. This guy named Darkman."
Yeah, I got some videos coming in the future that I'm gonna be editing, yeah, because I got back on my video editing program, so it's just now to get the equipment now, and we're working on that. We're about to have it, and we're gonna come out with the video edits and just start bringing forth everything on a next level, a totally next level, you know. Brother American Arawak.
Yeah, man. I say peace to the whole panel, peace to the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Big up DarkmanX. Now I'm saying, I was wondering if we could arrange something like this for like a couple of months or so. We just have like an Arawak panel straight up. You saw me, I say. So, you know, we just gather and put our resources together and just come with a uppercut, because people think we are not watching and we are not seeing what's going on. Like we are blind. We are not blind. We see everything that's going on. We hear everything that's going on. We are aware of everything that's going on. We know the plot. We see the plot before it happened, right? Our people did not subscribe to African ancestry. We did no. Our people did not. Growing up, I was taught about Arawaks and Caribs in school, right? While going to school, that's the only thing I was taught. I was not taught that I came from. I never hear it until I come. Let me see. I never hear it until me about the Rastafarian thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Even before we go, yeah, let's each touch on that. What are your thoughts on the false and misteachings of the Rastafarian community to the Carib and American to the Americas, period?
Yeah. People need to do their research. Leonard Powell. Look up who Leonard Powell is, and you start right there. You have to look for the origin of things, okay? Leonard, not Powell. Leonard Howell. Leonard Howell, not Powell, my bad. Because it's Leonard P. Howell, so I have to say Leonard Powell. But anyway, look up this guy, right? Do some background search on him, right? And you see the origins of Rastafari. It has nothing to do with our bloodline. Nothing to do with it at all. It just like a man come up with a cult, like a religious cult, and say, well, I am gonna create this religious cult, and I'm gonna call this man who is a foreigner to my land God, and I'm gonna just create this curriculum and pass it down to these young people and just, indoctrinate them. That's all it is. It's just another form of indoctrination. And like the Rastafari community really start looking at their own family history, and their own bloodline relatives, their own genealogy, and stop.
They know. Not to touch you, but they know. Wait, look on a drop off. They know. And here's why I'm saying that they know. Because every time I confront one of them and say, yo, but I am Arawak. You never hear that before? You should see their whole demeanor changes. Their body language changes. I love when their eyes look like it's about to pop outside of their head. Right?
Yes.
When the eyes look like it's about to pop outside of their head. I love that when they give you that wide eye stare, like, oh, Yes. I know I'm on to your fallacy. I'm on to your lies.
So I hear I see somebody say in the chat, this is not a movement. This is about culture. Okay.
Yeah.
about this is an Aboriginal movement, no, this is Aboriginal culture, original American culture.
Yes.
Okay. You know
And-
what I mean?
And
So-
speaking,
Come again?
yeah, and speaking about in terms of religion, I know Arawak, you and I talk. We have to do something about, educate people about our indigenous religion that we had here.
Yes.
So one of these days we do something on that one.
Yes. Even with that research about the Maya, you know what I mean, and then twist the plot.
Yeah.
So then twist the plot. It go from a herbal type of culture to coming from Africa voodoo. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Like they really destroy and they invest so much money into destroying our identity and destroying our culture. And we're not having it anymore.
Yeah.
No, zero tolerance for it. We're not having it anymore. Ain't nobody can come and tell my people that they come from somewhere where they never been in their whole entire bloodline.
But
Right.
but the funny thing about our about our ancestral religion, it's
Yeah.
still prominent. If you go to Guyana, Grenada, we are the best of herbalists, right?
Yes.
The funny thing is, I proved it here in New York City, right? Some of the herbs we see on the street, I showed it to African. What is it used for? They don't know it.
Yes.
Herbs is used all over the South American, the Caribbean. They know eggs is used for the same purpose.
I never say African baba roots yet. Right? Me drink baba roots. I never say Africa upon it yet.
True, that's a fact. That's a
You
fact.
see me?
My
The Rasta them
grandmother-
make baba roots. The Rasta them make baba roots, and the Rasta them don't write Africa upon it.
That's a fact.
So
Right.
I don't know what's going on here, but whatever no plotting are trying to do, just know so as long as DarkmanX, the ICCC is around and Prince Sadq in that trouble. We are put the fire out, we are burning a wicked. We are come out, we're coming swinging left and right, and we don't care what head roll.
Putting a fire to on the foot. Don't even the roaches in that house I get it.
Everything I get it.
Everything.
All
Empress,
the area what travel across your face, I'll get it.
Empress, you have something that you want to say?
No, I wanted to touch on what Brother Prince was saying on the religious aspect.
Mhm.
We still, in terms of the cultural aspect, we still retain much of our Arawak practices, and we don't even know it. They think it's African. Oh, this is the African thing. Oh, this is when the Africans came to Jamaica as slaves and we retained our shit, So that would be a very good discussion to talk about.
Born free. So which African drink sorrel? Yo, I want to laugh, bro.
You're right, Empress. But let's make the Empress saying what she have to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I just wanted to. I want to be a part of that because I have a lot to say in terms of that as well.
Okay, most definitely.
Future live or meet up,
Yeah, man. Yeah, most definitely. Brother Lokono, since you drop off, you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, man. Can you post the links that I put in a private chat? I'm unable to put in the live comments. Yeah, man, it's in a private chat, brother.
Which link?
There's about 4 links to put in it. You see it?
Wait, you put them in this chat here, you say, or
No, private chat.
Oh,
In
okay.
Big up the Empress, yeah? Mimi, right? Big up the Empress, Thanks to share your wisdom.
Wait,
Really love that,
Lokono, which private chat? You're talking about with the WhatsApp?
He's talking about on here on
StreamYard.
StreamYard. You've got the live comments and then you got the private chat.
Oh, you do? I don't know how to operate those features yet,
Yeah, look on the right hand side. You got live comments and you got private chat. He dropped it in the private chat. You'll see a little symbol with the number 4.
Yeah. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. So,
I've got
those
I think,
links
is it there?
private chat. That's for me to check out. Well, an hour later. Later.
Yeah, the private
Okay.
chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Say no more.
FRZ guess Gary wanted to replace Africans in our
Boy, yeah.
Robert, like 10 million people back to
Martin. No.
10 million people Robert is taking back to Africa. Could you imagine? Yo. But you know, it's sad, but here's what's beautiful though. It shows that we can unite if we really wanted to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? If we really wanted to, it shows that we can unite. It's just that, like I was saying, these people know how, I don't know what it is with them. They can pick apart the aura. They know who you are before you even come. And they know how to manifest where they can have their own people set in place to redirect your destiny to how they want it to be. Because people like Garvey, people like Khalid, people like Malcolm, right? If you look at these people, imagine if these people never had these influences that came along and these people woke up without certain influences. Do you know how powerful things would have been today? But these entities came in and they turned them. And when they started waking up, they killed them.
For sure.
But the beautiful thing is they show that we can unite if we really wanted to.
Yeah.
But this time, if we're going to unite, let it be on the truth of the ancestry.
Yeah.
Truth. But yeah. Right, Brother Copperhotstep, anything you want to say?
Just to say peace to everyone. I actually have a 6-part series already on my channel to do with the Rastafarians. So if anyone was to learn a little bit more about them and like a few of the loopholes like in their ideology, like we did cover it not too long ago. So if you hop onto my channel, you can watch all of that there, and then we managed to break it all down and take it apart. And we even managed to look at the narratives of, you know, how they're accepted, or shall I say not accepted, you know, in Ethiopia, you know.
That was a really good one. Really good.
And also I met Africans myself. I've been friend with Africans, and trust me, they're different people, man. They're different culture. Trust me, I've been friend with them. And I met African that just want to be like us. Glorify Tupac.
You know, the funny thing is, I don't know about, England, right? But here in New York, man, or in Boston, wherever we are, right? When you see an African walk in the street, we know he's an African, no matter how, what clothes they are wearing. It's just like a spirit connection thing. And they know we are not Africans. You know,
no, it's the same here. It's the same here. Like you can, it's just spirit and phenotype and just energy. We could just tell each other apart. It doesn't matter where our sets of people might cross paths in this world. It is irrelevant. Even in a foreign place like London, where it rains every day almost, we still, on a rainy dark day, you can still look and see who is more than likely one of yours and who is not. So it's really interesting and really funny how, you know, there's some things that school doesn't need to give you. You know, you had 2 eyes and 2 ears before you was in any school, and you're going to refuse what your eyes and your ears and your nose shows you, you know, because, you know, history and movies are more fashionable. It don't make no sense.
It's also, you know, you will never walk past an American Indian here, a black guy, and he doesn't give you a greetings, whether it's a nod or, you know, just a little.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll walk past a black guy and he doesn't recognize you and say, "Oh man, he's an African." Usually he is. Yeah. Whether he's an African American or Caribbean, we always greet each other.
That's
You
true.
don't have to open our mouth to greet each other. But, you know,
Yeah, that's true. I have a neighbor right now. He's a carpenter, and he just see me out of nowhere and just approach me. It's from Mississippi.
Yeah.
You know, he just come from nowhere.
Yeah.
He just see me one day, just like approach me.
Spiritual connection,
Yeah,
man.
but you know what? No lie, the Southern Negro, when they come to, even when they come to the big city, they're very friendly.
Yeah.
When they come to the big city Negro, they're used to the what's up and keep it moving.
Yeah, the nod.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what you guys are saying is on point. Even if it's just a head nod, we always acknowledge each other when we see each other. It feels awkward when we're just gonna walk past each other.
It feels
Awkward, very weird and awkward, right? So yeah. But all right, y'all.
Yes,
I will post everyone's channel link in the description box and at the top of the chat when this loads up. If you want to get in touch with any of the brothers, just subscribe to their platform. If the brothers do want to put their emails out there, if they do or not, it's up to them also. And I think, and if the Empress want to put any information out there, it's up to her also. But so these brothers have a lot of information on their channel. Yeah, their channels are filled with hundreds of videos. Okay, of information, undisputed information. I have to put that in there. All right. So check them out. Subscribe to their platform. And just see what it is that they have up on there, and I thank each and every single one that that's on this panel today, and I thank each and every single one that's watching and that's in the chat today also as well. And I say honor and many amounts of respect to you all, and it's just nothing but one love, and genuine just wanting to see you all progress and prosper on the greatest of highest levels of how the Creator meant for you all to be, right? When you step foot forward in your glory. Yeah, you let that energy protrude and let the world know that you are here, that you are not going anywhere, that you are the chosen children of this hemisphere, that you are the children of this hemisphere. Anywhere in the world you are, you let it be known. You don't let no man, no woman tell you, well, because you're on this part of the hemisphere, this is what you have to identify as. No, that's fuckery. Don't go like that. Okay?
I can jump some heavy thing in the chat. Check out research does. I got some good stuff right there. I should go check that out. Right?
Okay. That's the Jacobite rebellion ships.
Yeah.
Right? New York arrival, Austria, Poland, Galatia. Okay. All right. So for anyone that missed anything, even in the chat, just replay back this live and check out the chat and just look for the links as they come up and just click on them, and go through it that way also as well, right? But I thank you all for being here, and I say honors with and respect to you all. And
big up Cherokee.
Yes, honor sis, Sister Cherokee, Empress Copperfox, also honor to the sister, honor to Sister Death herself, even though she's not in the chat right now, but as many of the empresses that helped this platform be where it's at. Even with the first platform with many of the empresses, truthfully, the first platform and this platform was under heavy protection by the empresses, by their divine energy, to be honest, because it was many times where even when folks used to send certain forms of spiritual attacks this way, I felt a lot of the empress's energy, as a shield to this platform. So I thank you all. So don't think I don't know, especially Sister Liz Robinson also as well. I know, right? I'm not saying that the brothers them, but the empresses them, the energies are different, brothers.
Yes,
yeah.
Empress Copperfox, the real general. Copperfox, the general, Yeah, keep easy. Big up yourself, brother. Pure love and peace you bring, Big up yourself.
Yeah, man.
You see your energy. Big up yourself.
But it's just honest to everyone, and we're definitely gonna do this again, and it's gonna be a thing that's done more so in the future as well. And we're gonna build, and when we build, we're gonna vet more Arawaks and add them onto the council, and it's going to be something. The information that's going to be pushed is going to be for all American Indians, mainland, island, south, central. It doesn't matter, right? Because we're going to push the info to where everyone can use the information, to where everyone can learn. Because if I tell my history connects to your history connects to whoever else's history, and so on and so down the line, right? So again, we're out of here. I say peace, love, and light.
Peace.
Love.
Yeah, man. Peace, love, and protection.
Peace.
Thank you.
Manners and respect.